Hello, Star Wars fans and collectors. Welcome back to another Star Wars Conversations live. In today's live stream, we'll be talking about the Bad Batch Season 1. And like with previous streams I've done on this channel, I will be joined by Alan.
What's up, guys?
So, as per usual in his past streams, Alan will be joining me and we'll be discussing the Bad Batch, the first season of the Bad Batch, what me and Alan have done over the course of the past couple of days. If you're aware of these live streams I do on my channel, is rewatch episodes from the TV show or film. And basically what we're going to do is we're going to talk about in detail what we think of it, upcoming predictions for season 2, and some Star Wars chat as well in the comment sections. Now, before we begin, Adam, as usual, what are your thoughts on the Bad Batch season 1?
So I've watched the Bad Batch 2 times. The first time, obviously, when it just like came out, I tuned in every week for a new episode, and then I rewatched it more recently, one episode a day for the past 16 days, and I gotta say that upon second viewing, I enjoyed it more. I don't know. There's something just lately. Something in me just is just, man. I wanna just be Star Wars. Like I want to watch Star Wars. I want to enjoy Star Wars. Good thing I didn't try that with the sequel trilogy.
But we know your feelings about that, don't worry.
Right, but yeah, I mean, I rewatching the Bad Batch. Yeah, I enjoyed it a lot more, and I managed to see some of the good stuff that I didn't like think about when I watched it the first time, and yeah, I just realized that it's a fun show about, you know, the new world order, the new galactic order now, from the point of view from a military point of view, from a political point of view, and yeah, it's great to see these clones, this Bad Batch. Obviously, they're a bit inspired off of the Delta Squad, you know, from Republic Commando. And, you know, part of me, as I'm sure a lot of people watching who've been watching the Bad Batch, I know, like, some of us would have, like, we wish that it would have been a Delta Squad show, because you know, they're the OGs. And
yeah, they are. But the good thing, as we know from the Bad Batch, I'll just pop in there, we did see a couple of the members in the 14th episode, I believe, as well.
In fact,
so,
yes,
so that's even a good thing.
Yeah. We saw Gregor, and we saw the one with the gray armor and a
That's
bit of
right.
yellow.
Yeah,
What's
we
his
saw Scorch.
Scorch, yeah.
Commander Boss I believe, was in it as well, if I can remember. But as you said, the thing I like about Star Wars is, especially obviously the side of Dave Filoni, is he gets the fans' predictions or reactions to what they want next, and when he listens to them, they deliver. So, as you said, we got part of something the fans have been looking for many years.
Yeah, and I mean, this is the rightful direct successor to the Clone Wars, and I feel like, well, first of all, visually looks great. I don't really have anything to complain about when it comes to the visual effects and the visual storytelling. I feel like it's, when it comes to the actual writing and the storytelling, it uses a bit of a similar formula to The Mandalorian. But it also, like, takes on its own thing with it. seeing as it's different characters and so different circumstances. And yeah, there's a bit of filler stuff in there. I'm not gonna lie, but
obviously that's like with most things, isn't it? As we know, in certain
right.
franchises, there is going to be fillers, but we know at the end of the day that, especially in recent events, i.e., The Mandalorian, Rebels, and Clone Wars, as we know from the series, they have delivered on a much larger scale. I.e., you look at the 7th season of the Clone Wars, we had 4 cracking episodes at the end of Mandalorian arc. And then we had a bit of filler with obviously the Ahsoka story and the Martinez sisters. And then obviously the couple of episodes at the start, we obviously introduced to the Bad Batch, which obviously we are talking about today. But as I said, you're a fan, I'm a fan. The last couple of episodes of the Clone Wars was spectacular. And like I said, I've got high hopes for the Bad Batch. But like I said, it's a good predecessor to obviously one of the most successor, sorry, I should say, to a much beloved franchise that is Star Wars: The Clone Wars.
Yeah. Please, let's forget about Rebels.
Rebels was okay. Like I said, people have their issues with Rebels, but it was okay.
Yeah.
But going back to what you said, yeah, the Bad Batch, like I said, we know they're genetically different clones than your usual clones, but their skills and their job to get the mission done, no questions asked, is just brilliant. They're just so cool, and it's nice to see an aspect of it in Star Wars where you could argue, from obviously my perspective, I've played the original Star Wars Battlefront 2, and there was a arc in that story mode where there was a clone uprising on Kamino, where it was obviously, in a way, the last couple of episodes, 15 and 16, you kind of argue there was one where certain Kaminoans were against the Empire's ruling and stuff, but whether we maybe see some, I don't know, maybe a flashback or something, or maybe they could even do something, who knows, but they have answered certain questions in a way from older games as well, i.e. the original Battlefront 2 that was released in 2005. Obviously, I know that because I've obviously recently played it, and it's obviously still fresh in my mind and everything, so there's stuff there. But Season 2, we know it's going to be coming out soon, where, I don't know, we could see maybe old characters come into it, who knows, but as you said, Alan, it's a stepping stone so far, but as you said, it has delivered, and as you mentioned, watching it a second time, you do enjoy it a lot more, and especially when I was watching it, you pick up a load more things as well, i.e. characters, certain bits of dialogue, and certain references to certain films and TV shows. So that's always a good thing with Star Wars. There's always references, so that's the beauty of the Star Wars franchise, really.
Yeah.
But yeah, first season, like I said, I enjoyed it. Like I said, there was a few filler episodes where you can argue with most franchises there are, but overall it did deliver on a larger scale. I don't know, you could argue that certain people were surprised, but I don't think we were disappointed in the episodes we got. There was certain things explained and certain reveals like, oh, that's pretty cool what they've done there. But
see, what I like about the Bad Batch is that even the filler episode contribute a lot to just like fleshing out the overall the tone of this new galactic order. For example, the episode with the Zygerians and the Rancor.
Yeah,
that they needed to save the baby Rancor.
And we had no clue that it would be linked, but once you see the character Bib Fortuna, you go, oh, I wonder if that's from Jedi, and then you go
and see
stuff like that.
I think I've heard around that Rancor is not the Rancor we see in.
Oh, it's not, is it? Oh, I see.
No,
okay,
I don't think so. If anyone could confirm this,
yeah, that would be good.
Let
if
us
anyone
know. But I think I've heard that it's not the same Rancor.
Okay.
However, though, we watched the Clone Wars, and in the Clone Wars show, we see the Republic defeat the Zagarians.
That's right.
But now with the Empire arising, we see that slavery and like human or alien trafficking has become a thing, and like it's meant to represent the chaos that comes with the new era. The civil and galactic chaos that comes with the new era, a new change of
leadership and stuff like that.
a new change of government. Yeah,
like I said, change of government, but they've obviously got different pawns put in their place to do their bidding and stuff like that.
And
which
I
we know what the Empire done.
Yeah, and now that I'm thinking about it, I feel like it's a coincidence that a show like this comes out in like the year following the big like the big change that the world has been going through, the pandemic and everything. And now with these new like restrictions and rules and passes, it's also like it's kind of a mirror of the real world with this new world order and everything.
Well, you look at the COVID passes, chain numbers, so the
chain codes,
stuff like that, and then
Jesus Christ.
Say, for instance, people like us who are possibly working or doing stuff on a regular basis, and we're similar to, I know it's completely different to TV show, but you see the changes, i.e. in the Ryloth episode, where certain clones are looking at the Empire thinking, we just help these people. You really want us to turn our back to them. So it's like people are slowly thinking, well, I need to do this to help others. And obviously, as we know from the Empire and certain clones, not all clone troopers initiated all the 66. Some of them were aware, obviously, of their chips, i.e. Rex, Gregor and Wolf, and obviously eventually the Bad Batch characters. And as you said, sort of real life and TV show merging into one. But as you said, we went through a pandemic, i.e. that year, and obviously we're facing a new order. But in this case, the Bad Batch have arisen the Galactic Empire. So it's in relation. It's a TV show, but it's in relation. But that's a good point.
Star Wars has always been. It's all like from the get-go. It had a lot of inspiration from real life. From
I mean, even
real history.
Yeah, I mean, you look at some of the Stormtrooper weapons and the Bounty Hunter weapons. They're all inspired by World War II weaponry and stuff like that. Yeah. Or Stormtrooper armor. I remember I went to Comic-Con a few weeks ago, and I was talking to a man there who designs his own Stormtrooper outfit, and some of the items that they've used for like a belt or an actual like rucksack for a Stormtrooper, they're like, say, parts of a toilet or parts to do with a sink in your house, and they just put it on there, slapped it on there like a plastic container as a lunchbox, but that's considered like, say, I don't know, like a rations kit or like a radio prop. And it's just like stuff like that has been made into real life. I mean, it's like what you've got on your desk there, Alan. That could be like a grenade or an ammunition stock, and you could just bang on a rifle. And it's like, oh, it's Star Wars because it looks a bit quirky and it's got like a slight dent, but it looks no different because it's Star Wars. But
it's my microphone, by the way, guys.
Exactly, but that's the beautiful thing about it.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah.
But that is what makes Star Wars. All the quirky stuff with human stuff and wars and stuff gone by is what makes certain things. And when you do watch episodes and films, you go, oh, that looks like something. I spotted that. And as you said, for a second time, when you watch stuff, i.e. Star Wars films or TV shows, you pick up on more. And I feel that when I watch the Bad Batch, you like to say you pick up more things. And I, with them, the Bad Batch, they're realizing that the world is going to eventually get into chaos, I should say, get my words out properly, because obviously the Imperial Empire is rising, chain codes on different planets. And as you said, the Republic were doing their bit. And then with a click of a finger or a switch of a light switch, slavery, trafficking, chain codes. It just becomes a whole new world order, and bounty hunting and crime is everywhere. So
yeah,
but that's Star Wars. We love it. We love it. Me and Alan, we love it. So that's just like our introduction on the Bad Batch. There's no comments in the chat so far. So what we're going to do is we're going to dive into it, talk about each episode, and we will go to there. So I'll just mention
before you dive in, I wanted to add to your comment.
Yes, by all means, please.
It's
jump
really, now that I'm thinking about it, it's really ironic how we try to escape our own chaos by watching a fantasy universe that deals with its own chaos.
Yeah. And we're just sitting there going, there may be a planet being invaded by the Empire, but we're just sitting here, I don't know, having a drink and going, look at that.
I wish I was in this desert planet rather than here. Or, it's funny how, like,
I said, it's the beauty of Star Wars. You're in your own world and you can just escape it. Like I said, there's chaos going everywhere, but Star Wars, we'll watch somebody else's problems. Like, for instance, we'll watch Boba Fett in The Mandalorian. Poor geezer's all scarred up, but we'll watch his chaos and eventually he can put on the iconic suit
the difference
and do his stuff.
The difference is that these characters, they actually go on adventures with these problems. What do we do?
No. We just do our own thing.
We just do podcasts about our problems.
We do a podcast, yeah. We're not like
talk about it.
We're not like Darth Maul, who's been cutting off, new legs, new this, Kenobi going mad and everything, and then he mentions he's the chosen one and stuff like that. We're thinking, Darth Maul's cool. He may be an arsehole, but he's cool. He's cool. Right. We like him. But no, good point there, Adam. Good point, as you said. Yeah. We watch chaos and we're just sitting there. It's like one of them memes. Like, for instance, the Leonardo DiCaprio meme when he's doing it in here I come. Yeah. We're watching the chaos. Yeah, exactly. So that's pretty much, as I said, our intro. We'll get more into that later on and everything. I'll just brief you on what the Bad Batch is, and then we'll dive into the episodes and we will talk more on the Bad Batch. So basically, if you are new to the Bad Batch or stuff like that, basically what the Bad Batch is obviously it's a group of clone troopers that appeared in Star Wars: The Clone Wars. It's picking up right where Star Wars' most beloved animated series left off. The Bad Batch follows a squad of genetically mutated elite clone troopers known as Clone Force 99. And as you see through the first episode and through all the other episodes, you see their characters eventually change. They get used to what is going on around them in the galaxy, and basically what the galaxy is going to end up like. And that's pretty much it, really. You follow their adventures. And as I said before with Alan as well, with Star Wars, there's good Easter eggs in the Bad Batch. And that's pretty much it. It's just a group of cool clone troopers who can just cause mass chaos and get the job done. So let's dive into the main part of the conversation. So the first bit we're going to take a look at is episode 1, and that is Aftermath. Now, basically what this is the final days of the Clone War happening. We see brief clips from episode 3 as well, where obviously it was on General Grievous' ship where the Chancellor got captured and you see Grievous escape. We go to the planet, I think it's Kolar, and obviously first glances, we're watching the episodes, and we see, I say one, but you could argue 2 familiar characters from the Star Wars universe. We see a young Kanan Jarrus and his master. We see a few things happening there, and eventually the Bad Batch obviously are introduced. They arrive and help the Jedi and the clones. So that was really, really cool. You see them do their own bit there and everything. And then once they've introduced themselves to the Jedi, we obviously see a holocron which obviously of a cloaked figure. But if you are Star Wars fans, you know the voice. It's Darth Sidious. Around about that time, Execute Order 66 is issued. The clones eventually turn on their Jedi generals, and Kanan Jarrus eventually escapes. And that's first part of that episode. I'll read more about the episode in a few moments. But Alan, what was your initial thought on the first couple of minutes of the episode?
Kanan Jarrus's voice.
If I can remember, I believe Freddie Prinze did come back to voice him. It was the same actor.
Unfortunately, he did. And I mean, don't get me wrong. I appreciate the guy, and like he's a great voice actor and everything. But he was in it wasn't really in place to get him to voice his younger self, because you see the kid. You see him as a kid, he looks like maybe 14, 15.
14, 15, yeah.
And you get like a 40-year-old to voice him, and it's, you can hear it. You can pretty obviously hear that it's this is not a 14-year-old boy here. unless he comes from a distinguished gentleman species.
A 14-year-old with like a massive deep voice. Hello, master. Have you hit puberty yet?
Yeah.
Have you hit puberty yet, Kanan? No. Your voice sounds funny.
But yeah, other than the my opinion, the miscast of Kanan Jarrus, the beginning itself, yeah, it was awesome. We get a good look at what is going on, and we get a good intro to the Bad Batch, to the squad. We see that they can pretty much defeat a whole pack of droids within seconds, and they're very, there's just like 5 of them,
Mm-hmm. You just see Wreck of a big rock and just like, yeah, let's just chuck that.
yeah. So like they're 5 people, but they're shared power and like their teamwork. It's worth the work of like maybe 1,000 clones, maybe less, but yeah, like they're as strong as an army together, and that's what you're meant to understand from that scene. That they're not like the regular clones that we're used to, Rex, Cody, etc. Cody Commander. If people from that I interact with regularly see, like, if they hear Cody Commander, they'll know what I'm talking about. But yeah, what planet did you say it was? I don't think we've seen it before.
I don't think we see it. I think it was the planet Kolar. I think that's how it's pronounced. Kolar, okay. Planet Kolar. I'll have to double check on that. That's what I got from the episode, Planet Kolar. Yeah, so I think it was a brand new planet. Mm-hmm. And obviously, as you said, we saw Order 66 issued. Yeah. Obviously, their inhibitor chips don't kick in, but obviously Crosshair, they're the main man, i.e. from the sniper rifle position. Obviously, his one kicks in a bit. Mm. Hunter was obviously confused, and they're all confused what's going on, but obviously Crosshair seems to know what he's doing in a way. And we see them eventually obviously chase down the forest part, and then they come to like sort of a mountain bit.
Yeah.
Hunter obviously lets him jump, and obviously Crosshair believes that he's obviously still alive, because obviously he's Crosshair. He's their main man from sniping positions. But Hunter said that he slipped and fell. But obviously we know that Hunter didn't initiate the order to hunt down the Jedi. But like I said, it was good to see something there. Obviously, we saw a similar thing in season 7 of the Clone Wars, where obviously Ahsoka got attacked by her own clone troopers as well. So it's something we have seen before, but it's obviously good to see it from another perspective side, i.e. the clone troopers who are thinking, well, what's going on? And they've got their other ones thinking, well, what are you doing? We just fought with these lot and now we just killed them. But it was good to see that side of it. After that, the clones eventually return to Kamino. We see shock troopers arrive on the planet. Clone Force 99 are confused on why the clones obviously turned on their Jedi generals. And then we see Palpatine's speech from episode 3, obviously talking about hunting down the remaining Jedi, and obviously they will be defeated, which was
excuse me if I may just add, if I may add, I don't know if you noticed, like everything in that first sequence, you know how it's all happening at the same time as the events of Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah.
But it all happens very fast.
It does, doesn't it? It really does.
Compared to how it went on in the movie, to how it occurred, because like 1 minute you hear, okay, Obi-Wan engaged General Grievous, and then a minute later,
the war's
literally
over.
The next minute, execute Order 66.
Yeah.
So it's a bit weird, but then again, it's you know, you don't know how time and space work in that universe.
Yeah.
You know, maybe
maybe from the Star Wars perspective, maybe from this perspective where one second we've seen them take out the droids, the other bit we see Order 66 initiated. Maybe we only see it for say maybe 2 seconds, but in that time span, it's maybe, I don't know, an hour or 2 hours, but it's just done within 1 second. But I can understand where you're coming from, but then again, there could be a conversation where once Order 66 was initiated, Palpatine, once he'd done all his personal calls to his errands of clone troopers, he obviously contacted Kamino to say that, right, pack it up, shock troopers you're shipping out, we're going to sort out Kamino and go from there, because like I said, it was pretty quick. But then again, shock troopers, when you see them about, obviously, as the clones mentioned, what they mean business, because they're Palpatine's personal guard, didn't they? They will stop at nothing to stop their leader getting attacked. But yeah, I can understand the quick time jump there. But as I said, I'm sure there will be a video or a theory going around where it's all explained, because it is Star Wars. People are doing theories these days. Hell no, there might even be a TikTok about it. You know what I mean? The way the world goes. Order 66, that 1 second, 2 hours, boom, TikTok, done it.
Yeah, do go on, yeah.
But yeah, as I said, the Galactic Empire obviously is formed. It was nice to see a reference from Revenge of the Sith as well, his speech, Palpatine. And once we've seen the speech, we are introduced to a young new character in it, which eventually we find out to be Omega. Omega, who's obviously a new character in the Bad Batch. And obviously I've written down later, obviously, what she is, but we'll mention that later on in the stream. So yeah, she's a new character there. And then we see Moff Tarkin arrive on Kamino. And obviously the clones are now being obviously put into question. And obviously they're informing the Kaminoans that is it really necessary to keep on reproducing clone troopers, and they want a more efficient and less costing army, i.e. they want volunteers from different galaxies and different planets to join the Empire. So it's good to see little elements there. And then once we see that, and obviously the Clone Force 99 are still questioning certain things, we see Clone Force 99 start fighting with the Regs, and there's a big fight going on. Omega and obviously stuff are getting involved. FCO gets knocked out. And then the clones eventually put into action, and basically it's sort of got like a Clone Wars season 3 vibe where they go into the simulator part of Camino. They're obviously fighting against droids. Some of them you could argue they're very similar to the Dark Troopers that we saw in the Mandalorian, but obviously they're a different version. And we see a few bits of action going on there. Obviously, Wrecker gets hit because obviously Moff Tarkin orders them to use live rounds. And obviously, they're eventually reprogrammed, the machines, and they use their own machines on their own comrades. Clone Force 99, they get the job done. They meet with Tarkin, and then he sends them out on a mission to sort things out for the Empire. And obviously, we go to the planet, and they discover that there are children and people into the camps on the planets. And then we see a character that we are familiar with in the Star Wars universe, and that is Saul Guerrero. And basically, what we get from that is obviously the truth and the beginning of what the Empire stands for. Obviously, he mentions that the Empire is obviously lying. And then there's even more questions put into place where you've got Crosshair, he wants to get the job done. And then the other clones are thinking, well, they're just target practice. Why are we doing a fool's errand run, basically? So it's like I said, even the first, say, 10, 20, half an hour of this show, you just see the clones start to question. Whereas you look in the Clone Wars and certain other Star Wars media, they've mentioned that the clones would follow any order without fail. Whereas obviously this case, they're obviously different. And they are put into question there. So that was good. An Imperial probe droid obviously spies on them, and obviously they eventually discover that. Obviously, Crosshair doesn't agree, and they basically defy and go back to Camino. And as we are aware, Crosshair, obviously, he's eventually taken into another part of Camino. And once the Bad Batch arrive back at Camino, they are arrested for treason, which was, well, you could argue that was coming, but it's one of those ones, really, because obviously they didn't want to follow orders there and everything. I'm just going to pause there before we go into the final part. Any thoughts on that, Alan? The mission that Tarkin got them to do and stuff like that?
Well, this is I would argue one of the first signs of the rebellion. The very first glimpse that we saw of the rebellion was in Revenge of the Sith.
That's right.
With Padme and Bail Organa.
Yeah, the deleted scene that didn't make it in the final cut, if I remember.
That and also the moment after Palpatine's big speech when Padme says, "This is how liberty dies," with thunderous applause. Yeah, in many ways, she's the first member of the rebellion army.
Yeah.
But now we see it like grow. This is like the first step of the rebellion with Saul Guerrero and his I won't say army, but yeah, his squad, his militia.
Yeah, he's private militia. Yeah, basically. Yeah.
We see that. His freedom fighters. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's great because we see now that they also had a direct impact on the majority of the Bad Batch squad.
Yeah.
They made them realize that yeah, this empire is not what we sign up for.
No. And as you mentioned there in episode 3, there's even elements of it even earlier on in the film when obviously Obi-Wan asks Anakin to spy on the Chancellor, and there's a lot of people who are thinking, as they mentioned in the scene, he's been in office too long. They're starting to question whether Palpatine is the right man for the job, and obviously eventually as the film goes on, we find out Palpatine's true intentions, what his intentions are for his own belief and obviously his own empire. And obviously Anakin is the puppet, and obviously he's the puppeteer. He's obviously got the strings ready, and he's willing to open up to the public to say, right, you're all going to be my pawns. Skywalker in this case, I'm going to be the puppeteer, and I'm going to be working his strings to get the best out of the Senate. And obviously in his case, his full control. And as we know from episode 3, the Empire is formed. But as you said, even in the early stages of the film, there's a lot of unease and unrest of thinking, oh, he's maybe done good things, Palpatine, but he's been in office far too long. And obviously, as we know from the film, we know what happens. And obviously their beliefs are true. And as you said, that scene in the Senate with Padme, it's the early stages where a rebellion is born. And there is a question to think, like, what is this guy doing? Like, I knew this guy personally, and I said with a flick of a switch, he's changed. But as we know from the Star Wars franchise and Palpatine's true intentions, it was all a massive lie. And obviously Obi-Wan said that to Padme when he realised that Anakin was the father of a child, or children, I should say. And he was sent out to do the mission, i.e. to find Anakin and basically sort him out. So as you said, the early stages were there, and obviously from the film, too little too late. But like I said, another good thing there, referencing to Revenge of the Sith, and obviously like I said, it cross paths really well there. So that was interesting. So as I mentioned, the Bad Batch obviously got arrested. Crosshair gets taken away and is tested upon to follow the Empire's command without hesitation. Clone Force 99, as I said, they're arrested. They want to find a way out by getting Wrecker to punch the wall. Obviously, they eventually punch the wall. They escape, obviously, with Omega going through the little ventilating system. And once they've done that and they pick up their gear, they eventually make it to the hangar. And Crosshair, obviously, as we're aware, he joins the Empire, gets a whole new brand look. The clones eventually engage the Bad Batch. Wrecker gets shot again, but Omega, with her quick thinking, she shoots Crosshair's rifle, and eventually the Bad Batch escape. Omega eventually discovers space for the first time. They go into hyperspace, and the episode ends. So that's basically pretty much it for the first ever episode of the Bad Batch. As I said, there was a lot going on. It was a nice long episode as well. I can't remember the actual runtime of the episode, but I didn't think it went too slow. If I was you, the same, man? And it sort of, we had a lot of information in there, but it went quite quick.
Yeah, I don't really have anything to say about the pacing. I think it was good pacing of the episode.
So yeah. That was the first episode of the Bad Batch. A good way to start it off. Before we move on to the next episode, I can check if there's any comments.
Well, I feel like we haven't we haven't really talked much about Omega in her introduction.
Of course we have. Of course we should. Sorry, yeah, of course, because obviously she eventually plays a formidable part. Where would you like to start? Sorry, I completely forgot about that. I went off track. There's me, like, in my own world. Where would you like to start, Alan?
Well, what do you think about Omega?
I think she's a very interesting character. I'm trying to think. Yeah, very interesting character. Obviously, we do eventually find out her attributes and obviously the link she does have to the series. But yeah, I will say the one thing I will say is very interesting.
What was your initial reaction the first time when you watched her being introduced to the show?
My first initial reaction was like, okay, young there. She's obviously just a child, but obviously we know eventually that she is. I believe she's older than the Bad Batch. I thought it was an interesting move. Obviously, we know with Star Wars what they've done in the past with Ahsoka Tano, a young character coming to such a big galaxy. But my first initial reaction was like, okay, she's got similar traits to them, but is she really one of them? And obviously, we find out she is one of them. But my overall reaction was, there's no issue there. I mean, she's like I said, she's a young character in a young, an old universe, and I'm all for it. It doesn't bother me in the slightest that she's so-called portrayed as a younger character, but we know that she's an older character. But my initial thoughts is I just have no issue, no problem really. What about yourself? Don't really have much to say really, if I'm being honest. It's just like, okay, normal. Don't really bother me.
Yeah. Come to think of it, like I feel like among the Star Wars fandom, there may have been a lot of rolling eyes.
Which you can understand. You can understand with certain
Yeah.
Star Wars fans. That's what they're like, I'm afraid.
Yeah. And I feel like it comes from the place of like, how do they make, a female clone from Jango Fett,
Yeah, there's all them ones. Oh, it should only be men, and it's just like, oh, fuck, who cares? Who cares?
Like, I mean, part of me, part of me does understand that point of view, and wonders what if we had that character, but like with a male young clone that resembles Boba Fett, that we can that the audience can relate to a bit more, because it's a more familiar face and body and voice and everything. At the end of the day, I don't have much. I don't have anything against like Omega. She serves pretty much the purpose that she's supposed to serve. We already saw what the Bad Batch is like in action. What they're we know who they are, but now that there's a new member in the family, and that member changes everything pretty much, and we see how they adapt to this new situation, to this new living situation, and yeah, Omega is like, yeah, she's a big part of this change that the squad is going through, and it's also like she's also like representing the change that the galaxy is going through.
And like she said, she's got big boots to fill. Obviously, Crosshair, he was their main sniper, and obviously he's realised, right, I'm going to join the Empire. So like, it's big boots to fill.
Yeah, and I actually feel that she is an interesting character, because she's very different in the sense that she does not know anything about what we've seen, what the other characters have seen. She doesn't know the galaxy. She's not familiar with anything that regards the Clone War or the Republic or the Separatists. She doesn't know anything about the galaxy or its politics. She's a little child, if you will.
Basically, she's a child. Basically, she's like, she was with she's been on Camino her whole life with is it Namasei, the Kamino, and she's basically like an animal. She's been let out into the wild, and she needs to get used to the surroundings. I mean, even in the second episode, when we're about to speak about in a minute, even with her just having a bit of fun, jumping on the ground and seeing bits of dirt coming out, to us it's just like, oh, it's dirt, but it's new to her. do you know when she was new to the galaxy? It was a similar thing to what Rey went through in The Force Awakens when she said,
True.
"Oh, I've never known this. There's so much green in this universe."
But
You
with
got
her,
Han
it's even
Solo.
worse because I don't think
Yeah,
she's ever seen the outside of a lab.
no. Whereas
That's how
obviously,
bad it is
that's the
for
thing. She's never
for
seen
her.
outside a lab, Camino, and everything. Was
Yeah.
obviously Rey. She was on Jakku and stuff like that, so she sort of knows how to look after herself. Whereas she's so young, if you just let her out there, it's just like, will she come back? So there is relations to Rey's aspect of what's going on with the universe. But as I said, an interesting character, and I don't really have much to say really. But then again, as you mentioned about the Star Wars fans' ups and downs there, it was a similar thing to what Ahsoka went through when we first saw her in the Clone Wars movie in 2008. There was a lot of stuff there thinking, like, does Anakin need a Padawan? Stuff like that. But like I said, it's completely different time loop, different eras, but only time will tell, really.
Yeah, and like I mean, more specifically with Omega, the fact that she is a direct, well, that she's directly related to Django and Boba.
Yeah.
You know that she is an unaltered clone.
Like one from the very top, i.e.
Yeah.
Django and Boba, the very, very top.
Yeah. Like I believe she's a Generation 1.
Generation 1, yeah, like the first, basically, like I say, the first batch rolled out on Geonosis. They like say the top tier, as they say.
Yeah.
But no, thanks for bringing that up, because like I said, that just completely went. I thought, oh yeah, Omega character, yeah, of course it is. Yeah.
At the same time, I do like I understand why it went over your head, because like there's a lot of information that we still we only just covered the first episode and it's been 47 minutes.
Exactly.
And there's a lot more to come. So I feel like, yeah, of course it went over your head because, you know, there's a lot more to uncover here.
Yeah, fair play, man.
Yeah, totally. But yeah, it's good that we got to talk about Omega. There's still nothing going on in the chat. So that's great. That means we can keep going.
Okay, all right, we'll keep going. If there's anything else, we'll come back to it. We will.
Hell yeah.
So the next episode is episode 2, and that is Cut and Run. And the planet we see is the planet Suluka Mine. And if you remember from the Clone Wars episode, there is a particular character that lives on Suluka Mine. And I remember watching the episode for the first time when it came out. And when they mention the planet Suluka Mine, if you are a fan of the Clone Wars, you will know a particular character who lives on Suluka Mine, and that is the clone deserter Cut Lawquane. And if you're not aware who he is, obviously he's a clone trooper that was a deserter in the Clone Wars. I believe it's season 2 where obviously Captain Rex gets shot. He gets taken to Cut Lawquane's house and obviously eventually gets patched up. They get attacked by droids, and it's basically seen from another perspective of a clone trooper to say that, why are we fighting this war? So it's good to see little elements there from the Clone Wars. Obviously, Cut Lawquane plans to leave the planet, and obviously the Empire are locking things down, i.e. ships and everything. And as we mentioned earlier on, it's the first use of Imperial chain codes. So that is a new thing that the Empire obviously want to use. Basically, they mention it's registering people.
And they try to fake their COVID passes. I mean, their chain codes.
Not, yeah, you'd be like Borat. Naughty. You can't do that. Yaxima. So after that, we see, as I said, they land. Obviously mentioned Omega's. Obviously, she's discovering a new planet and everything. And then we see, where are we? Oh yeah, so Omega's playing with Cut Lawquane's children.
They look very different, by the way.
They look very, very different as well. Obviously, they're playing catch with a large ball and eventually goes into the fence. And we see a character that we are familiar with from Star Wars Episode 2 Attack of the Clones in obviously the
big
arena
cat.
on Geonosis, basically. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously, I think they are from the planet Saluka mine. Obviously, they eventually sort it out. And as time goes past and everything, Hunter believes it's best for Omega to leave with Cutler Quain and his family and start a new life. So basically, there's lots more going on there. Echo and Tech, obviously, they register with the Empire that their ship's impounded. It gets lifted and puts in the Imperial impound. They do a few bits here now and again. They engage with the clone troopers there. Obviously, Omega originally was going to leave with Cutler Quain and his family, but obviously she returns to the Bad Batch. There's lots more action going on with Wrecker, Hunter, Echo, and Tech involved, and they have obviously eventually escape, which was a thing the Bad Batch do. They're good at escaping there. We did see a funny scene, which I did like. We see old Big Wrecker doing weights with the power droid, which did make me laugh. Just see a big fat power droid, and he's doing his weights. Got to keep his strength up. And after that, we also see Cut, Sue, and his family eventually leave the planet Saluka mine, and we also see sort of Hunter having second thoughts to think that, well, she's a young girl and whether she can make decisions on her own, really. And that's pretty much the episode, really. Obviously, that's just most of it was obviously me just rambling on about it. But episode 2, Alan, what did you make of that?
It's one of those partially filler episodes, in my opinion. But again, it begins to show us what the Empire is all about. Now they have the introduction of chain codes to the system. People are leaving the planet for some reason. I didn't really catch the reason why everybody wants to leave or anything.
From my understanding of it, they wanted to obviously some of them, they wanted to start a new life, basically, because obviously the Empire was basically taking their freedom away, basically. And as you said, that was the introduction of chain code. So you could argue that a lot more people in the early stages of so-called the Galactic Empire realizing these guys were so-called meant to protect us, and basically imprison us, really. So a lot of them have caught on and said, right, we're going to hop out of it and find somewhere where we can live. But obviously, as we know from the Star Wars universe, the Empire virtually took over everything. So that's pretty much it. But please continue. Sorry.
So it's a good kind of filler that, you know, it fills in a bit of the you know, we this puzzle that is the story, you know, around this around the show, you know, the environment, the world building, as it were. It shows us the new world, the new galactic order, an aspect of it. It's well, we see the very the very first, I want to say, the very first versions of what we later see will be the stormtroopers, and that's well the clones, and now in their the new settings, if you will.
Like I said, then
they're completely different people from the clones that we know and love from the Clone Wars.
Yeah, more
They've
aggressive.
become stormtroopers, serious soldiers. And yeah, I like that we get to see that. when it comes to Cut and his family, it's nice to see a familiar face. Obviously, I felt like it was nice that we get he Cut and his family, they fit in pretty well with the story of the squad, the Bad Batch. It's good that we get to see them again, to see both of the squad and the family. We see them interact, as they have a lot in common. So and I feel that interaction was well executed.
It was.
written.
It was.
Yeah.
It was good. It was like I said. You could argue it's a part of a filler, but as I said, the whole point of that episode is basically to see the early stages of what the Empire will do to people and why they want to leave planets as quick as they can, because they know that these people are not here to muck about. They're here to sort of lay down the line and say that you can't do things. And obviously, as we know from the Star Wars universe, the Empire were like that on many other planets. So this is just the very start of the flipping of the coin.
Yeah, and it's always a pleasure to see. New and also environments that we already know. Planets like Silicon, beautiful planet. Big flower plants and whatnot.
Yep.
Yeah, I love that planet. It's one of the more colorful planets, and it's always a pleasure to see on the screen when we get to.
And as I said, it was a good sort of flashback to the Clone Wars as well, from the episode arc in season 2 of the Clone Wars, where obviously Captain Rex got shot, and obviously they were hunting General Grievous as well. So, do you want to move on to the next episode?
Please.
Episode 3?
Yes.
Okay. Episode 3 is Replacements. And as Anna mentioned there about the clones being more aggressive and obviously what the stormtroopers will become, this episode is no exception. So the ship that the Bad Batch are on, it falls out of hyperspace and they crash land. And loads of things go on there. And we see new recruits join the Empire. And obviously Crosshair joins them to see what these replacements is like. And as Anna mentioned there, these are the new replacements that will replace the clone troopers in future events to come. Obviously, Wrecker, as the ship crashes, he obviously whacks his head and his head hurts. And obviously, eventually, you know why his head starts to hurt as we dive into more episodes when we talk about them later on in the stream. Obviously, what could that mean? As I mentioned there, where are we? Obviously, there's a creature on that planet. It takes obviously part of the ship.
Yes.
Oh, sorry, part of the ship's. What's the word? Get me a word up. Oh, what's the word? Part of the ship's repair, I should say. Sorry, yeah.
Like it was repair, something to do like a power battery or something.
Yeah, like a power charge and everything.
Yeah.
Crosshair's team is ordered to take out Saul Guerrera's camp. Obviously, Crosshair and his team goes to the camp. Saul Guerrera is obviously gone, but there's a few people there from the old days of the Republic. Obviously, the camp gets attacked. And we see stuff happening there. Once Omega and Hunter are obviously going after that part of the ship, Hunter gets attacked by the creature. Omega eventually calls for backup, and obviously she eventually, on her own, eventually manages to discover the part of the ship that they need, and obviously it's eventually taken back to the ships. There's loads of stuff going on, but I've basically just shortened it to what I've written on here and everything. So as I mentioned, Crosshair's team is obviously responsible and ordered to take out part of Saul Guerrera's band of rebels, or private militia, if you want to say.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously one of the soldiers obviously disagrees. Obviously Crosshair shoots him in the chest with no mercy. And he orders his team with flamethrowers and rifles to kill the civilians without any hesitation. And basically, it just shows you the start of the Empire, of how cruel they really were, i.e. to civilians, aliens, and other characters. So it just shows you that Crosshair is going down a darker path than Clone Force 99 itself. But it was good to see that there, and I must say that the troopers' uniform that they were wearing are pretty sick, like all sort of blacky silver, like a green visor, very, very cool there. And hopefully the vintage collection and obviously the Black Series, which they've done, they can release them figures or release a bunch of them. So that would be sick because they look really cool, they do. And basically, Wrecker shows Omega her new room, which basically is obviously part of the ship. It's the gun emplacement at the back of the ship. And that's pretty much it for that episode 3. Basically, just replacements, telling you about the new civilians, should we say, being recruited, and basically a part of a ship being rescued. What did you make of episode 3, Alan, of the replacements, i.e. the new recruits for the Empire?
Yes, obviously the most interesting part of the episode, the more interesting part of the episode was with Crosshair and his storyline, his story arc in episode being that he gets introduced to basically his new co-workers, his new
his new civvies.
It's an interesting dynamic, interesting interaction compared to the interactions that he had with this, with this his former squad. And you see how the contrast, how it's more strict, how it's more it's colder.
Yeah. Well, you even get that one. He starts to question the clone trooper. I thought you lot were not existing, so they're even questioning him. But obviously, they know that. Well, if you start to question, you find out what happens, i.e., from that episode,
and how it's also less creative. We haven't really gotten to see. My cat wants to go out of the room, but I'll finish the sentence real quick. We see that we've seen the Bad Batch work as a team. We see Crosshair and his team sort of work together, and it's not the same thing at all.
No, it's not. No.
It's very flat compared to what the Bad Batch used to do. And that was. I loved the design, of course, of the new uniform, the black clone troopers.
Let him finish.
And Crosshair is also his helmet and his armor. Gonna let Marvin out.
Cool.
We're gonna keep talking.
Keep talking. So yeah, that's the good thing about that episode. Like I said, it's a much more stricter, colder approach. The Empire are willing to do things a new style, a new way, and they believe that Crosshair is the right man for the fit. But as he said, he's cold. Crosshair, he's cold-hearted, especially in that last scene where he's just like, "Oh, kill them all." It's just like, really? And it's like, no, just kill them.
For military man, it's really disturbing how slowly he talks.
Yes.
Because he's supposed to give orders.
Yeah.
But he's articulating, and he's talking in a very sinister voice. Like
it's Darth Maul, Hannibal Lecter's like, Crosshair, do this. He's sort of like slower, where you get some people with like a high official like Hunter. He's like, right, we do this by the book. He's like very hands-on, leadership one where he's just like,
secure the perimeter.
yeah, he's
That's
just
how he's
like,
talking.
that's how he's talking.
In the
Yeah,
military, you're supposed to be like, secure the perimeter, you know?
yeah, like with intent and a bit
Yeah.
of mannerisms to say we've got to do this without fail, and he's just like, secure the platform, don't let them escape. It's like,
Exactly, yeah. I mean,
you need like Conor McGregor. Who the fuck is that guy?
it's
Who the
ridiculous.
fuck is that guy?
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
It's just like one of those ones.
I don't know if you've thought about this, but it's really ridiculous.
Coming to think of it, you see like leader roles in certain series, they're sort of more stricter approach and crosshairs. As you said, he's like Darth Maul. He's like, why are you here? It's just like, you're like that. Why are you here? They've sort of got more mannerisms, i.e. Darth Maul, Crosshair. They're just laid back, like, secure the perimeter. I don't give a shit. But yeah, I've only just noticed that. Well done for bringing that up. That's good. Yeah. But yeah, you think that? I mean, he is sick, Crosshair. He's sick the way he uses his sniper rifle and stuff. But as you said, you think you want someone in a more demanding manner. But if the Empire believe that Crosshair's their man for the job, then it's entirely down to them, isn't it? Yeah. So yeah, that's pretty much it for episode 3, which was replacements. Before we move on to the 4th episode, I am going to check the comments. I will. So the 4th episode is called. Where's the name of it? Connard. Is that how you pronounce it? Connard. Yeah, episode 4. Connard. Sorry. Before we move on, is there anything going on in the chat?
No activity in the chat.
No activity.
Where are you guys today?
Yeah, where is everyone?
It's a Sunday.
I know.
You're supposed to be at home chilling.
I've just gone on the actual stream on YouTube, and I've actually got a couple of comments here from.
Oh, do we?
Crown Vix and V8. He says, "Hey guys, honestly, I don't really care about the Bad Batch. I just want to see my boy Dogma again, but don't worry, I'll listen to this stream. But I do have the Black Series Elite Grey Trooper. It's a cool figure. Yeah, they're really good. They are. I'm hoping Hasbro can get their arse into gear and make more of them. I know there is a 4-pack that's going to be released from the Bad Batch where it includes Rex, the Elite Grey Trooper, Clone Captain Hauser, and there's another Clone Trooper. I can't name the other one. I don't know if it's the Clone Trooper in the first episode who killed Kanan Jarrus's master. I think it's him. I could be wrong. But
Dogma.
No, the Clone Captain in the first episode of the Bad Batch.
Yeah,
he sort of like had the sort of like another. He had like a lighter green, and he had like I've forgotten his name, but
Commander Doom?
No, it won't Commander Doom. The name will come to me probably later on after the stream. But
I just realized
Hasbro release more Clone Troopers.
Yes, dude. Did you see on what I sent you on Instagram? The 4-pack, the vintage collection pack. With Captain Rex and I think there was also a Shadow Trooper there.
Yes, that's the one I was on about. Yeah, get sick. Like I said, make more Clone Troopers. Make more Clone Troopers. They're so sick.
I've just realized that this whole time I was in the private chat and not in the comment section. I was in the wrong tab, guys. I was in the wrong tab. I'm so sorry. I will pay attention now to the comments tab on the platform, and that's that way, I'll see your comments. I see you. You don't see me. I see you.
You just have molehill. I was hoping for Alonn. Why are you here? Right. So yeah, thanks.
It's great to see you in the chat, Crown Vix and V8s.
Yeah, get more chats. Come on, it's a Sunday. It's been a while. Come on, it's Sunday. It's Bad Batch time.
Yeah, welcome to the stream, everybody.
Okay, so we'll move on to episode 4. Obviously, the Bad Batch lands, and we discover the. I haven't written much about this because there's only a few segments that are really important that I've written down here, but they land obviously on this planet, and we discover a familiar character that we know from The Mandalorian, and that character is Fennec. Is it Fennec Shand or Fennec Shan? Is that how you pronounce his
Fennec
name?
Shand.
Fennec Shan, obviously the bounty hunter from the Mandalorian. So yet again, Star Wars going backwards and forwards with references there.
Then again, you can choose to pronounce it however you like, you know.
Yeah.
But it's Shand.
Shan, whatever, man. I don't know.
My first name is pronounced Alonn, but you pronounce it your way, so.
Like the English, Alonn. Oh, well spoken. Oh, hello, Alonn. Or if they're upper class, oh, Alonn. Oh, hello.
It is Hebrew, as a matter of fact, but yeah, sure.
Yes, it'd be like the upper class. Oh, interesting. Alonn.
Alonn,
all the geezers.
Alonn.
Moving on. Moving on from the British culture.
Yes.
Hunter obviously goes to this small stall in the market, and obviously Echo is disguised as a droid, and obviously he trades Echo for credits, which was really hilarious. Yeah. And few bits go on there, and Hunter obviously eventually gets his credits, and obviously Omega, her being a young child like young children do, she wanders off, and she eventually bumps into Fennec Shand. Obviously she eventually takes her as well, and obviously Hunter discovers that Omega is missing. Echo and the droids leave the marketplace, which is quite funny, and obviously he just says, "Hey, I'm normal," and he's just completely stunned that he's human. He's like, "I thought you was a fucking droid, mate." So that was a good bit of comedy there.
Yeah.
As I mentioned, obviously Fennec Shand, obviously she takes Omega. Obviously Omega is on the run. There's lots of things happening in the background. We're obviously going through the city. Obviously they go through like this sort of like pipeline bit where obviously Omega eventually seals the door, and also obviously it's eventually breached. There's lots of action going on in the sky with speeders and other vehicles happening, and eventually obviously Fennec Shand eventually saves Omega despite being the bounty hunter that's chasing her. Obviously Hunter is on the case. He obviously hijacks a speeder bike. There's lots of things going on, and there's one thing that really did make me laugh. Did you see the guy who's in the taxi? He's got his headphones on, he's just chilling, and there's loads of stuff happening. It's just like he's in his own world. That was another good comedy aspect. I did like.
Wasn't it? I believe that character was inspired off of an action figure design.
I think it was. I can't say for sure.
One of the vintage designs for one of the two guys at the cantina.
Oh, Ponda Baba and Dr. Everson.
Yeah.
I can't say for sure.
Because it looks like him a lot.
He does look like him, yeah. I can't say for sure. That's obviously new to me, by the way. So thanks for bringing that up. But I can't say. But as you said, if there's anyone in the comments or anyone does watch this stream, then let us know.
I'm not sure if you're referring to that character. That's what, from what I remember, was.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. As I mentioned, it's a thrilling chase. Obviously, Omega is eventually saved by Hunter. And obviously Fennec Shand's bounty obviously escapes, and that's pretty much it what I've written down for the episode. There was a lot going on. It seems short from what I've said here from my notes, but there is a lot going on, i.e. the chase and everything, some good things going on there. But episode 4, like I said, you could argue in a way, a little bit of filler, but it just shows you that despite Omega being in her own world, the Kaminoans are very desperate to get their property back, which is pretty cool to see. Episode 4, Adam, any queries? Any responses?
The action bits, I think they were okay. The stakes didn't feel quite high, but I mean, they were there, obviously, because well, we know that now bounty hunters are coming after Omega, and in the story, the stakes, they are raised higher, but we the audience, we don't feel it. I didn't really feel that as much when I watched it, because
you could have had him in the corner, bounty hunting.
it was a bit predictable that they were gonna get away at the end of the day.
Yeah.
But
Do you know what would have been best? David had a voiceover in that chase and going, bounty hunting is a complicated profession.
exactly, yeah.
I want to see the baby.
Yeah, exactly. But again, the action, I think, was really well done, and the jokes were funny.
As you mentioned, you like the Echo bit when he was
my
disguised
favorite bit
as a
of the
droid.
episode was when Hunter had to, he was offered a price for Echo because the guy thought he was a droid, and then Echo's like, well, you're not gonna sell me for that low.
3,000 done.
Yeah. Okay, Echo, I'm going to sell you. Gonna sell me? How much?
But no, I agree as well. The comedy aspect was good. It was funny. It was funny. But I think the episode would have been made more if you had that bloke there. Bounty hunting is a complicated profession. I want to see the baby. I want to see Omega in action.
Yeah.
So I really ain't got much really to say about that. Similar to you, Alan.
And that's that episode sets up another episode that will come later on. That is dealing with pretty much with the same issue in a bit of a more, I suppose, with just a bit more depth, I suppose.
More stakes on the line as well. Yeah. Okay. So that's pretty much episode 4, really. I don't really have much to say. Moving on, we're going to move on to.
It's the casual. Yeah, it was the casual.
Episode 5, Rampage.
Yeah.
This is the casual episodes. It's like one of the ones where
casual story where the characters need fuel for the ship and whatnot.
Yeah, basically, yeah. Okay, episode 5, we are moving on, and this one is Rampage. So we are on the planet, I think I'm pronouncing this right, is it? Or you pronounce it. And Echo has recently been in contact with a contact who was very reliable back in the day named Sid. And obviously, we eventually find out who the character Sid is. Obviously, she did errands for the Jedi back in the day. And basically, in exchange, they need to do a mercenary mission for information. And as you mentioned earlier on, Alan, we see the, is it Sigurian slavers from season 4 of the Clone Wars. Obviously, if you watched the Clone Wars like me and Alan, you know who the Sigurians are. Obviously, they were slave traders during the time of the Republic, and obviously the time before the Republic became the Republic. And they're not nice people. They're very harsh people. But like I said, little aspects there from Clone Wars, which is very, very good. So there's plenty of action going on in there. Obviously, the Bad Batch.
Big angry cats, but yeah.
Basically, big angry cats. Obviously, they get captured. And obviously, Omega has been ordered to stay on the ship. But obviously, in this case, Omega obviously escapes without the Sigurian slavers finding her on her ship. And basically, the aim of this episode is Omega's she's going to do a solo mission. She's going to do her own thing. She's going to try and rescue her pals. And like I said, there's more things going on in there. They're in prison. They try to escape. And we see this large cage. And obviously, she eventually gets spotted by one of the Sigurian slavers, but they don't know that she's unlocked the cage. And as Anna mentioned earlier on as well, we see a small Rancor that is released. And as we mentioned, the comments, hopefully if they can let us know, we don't know if it is the same Rancor from Return of the Jedi. That's my theory on it, but as Anna's mentioned, it could be another Rancor. So we see the Rancor escaping, Eventually, the Bad Batch eventually break loose from their chains. There's loads more going on and everything. Omega discovers a new weapon. It's sort of like a crossbow, which looks really, really cool. And there's more stuff going on. Obviously, fighting and everything. They help the other people who are imprisoned, and they obviously let them escape. And in order for the Rancor to calm down, Wrecker offers it out with the Rancor. And before that, we see Sid in contact with someone on the hologram, which is pretty cool. And then eventually, the battle is won. Wrecker eventually manages to calm down the Rancor. And as I mentioned, with the Bad Batch and with Star Wars, there's loads of little Easter eggs and sort of references to other films. We see the character Bib Fortuna from, obviously, Return of the Jedi, looking a little bit slimmer than his appearance in the ending of season 2 of the Mandalorian, with a couple of Gamorrean guards, which are pretty cool. And see, this Rancor is eventually delivered to the boss. That is obviously Jabba. And that's pretty much it for the episode, really. And it was nice to see like little references there from other Star Wars media. But that was pretty much it for episode 5, Rampage. My opinion on it, it was a decent episode. The good thing I liked about it is obviously there was fillers. You could argue in a way there, more filler. But like I said, it's just the references as well to the Clone Wars. Obviously, Bib Fortuna is a character that appeared in episode 1. Did he appear in the Clone Wars, Adam? I can't remember. Did we see Bib Fortuna in the Clone Wars? I don't think we did.
I don't think we do, no.
No.
We don't see him much,
I don't think,
if at all, in the Clone Wars.
I can't really remember off the top of my head. But
yeah, I don't remember him too.
It was good to see him, and I think the original voice actor came back as well, Matthew Wood, who's obviously part of Skywalker Sound, and obviously he also voiced General Grievous in the Battle of Jabba. So it's nice to see old cameos there. But it was a good episode, and obviously to hear Jabba's name mentioned, obviously a little Rancor for his little palace, or big palace in this case, that Jabba has. It was good, but it was an interesting episode. Like I said, you could argue it was a bit of filler, but an enjoyable episode nonetheless. What about you, Alan? Did you like episode 5, Rampage?
Wanga.
Wango? I must have a message to Jabba. I'm terribly sorry about that. Look,
but yeah, episode 5, it was a fun episode. Again, I like the planet that they went to for the mission. It was fun. My favorite part of the episode was when Wrecker and Moochie was the name of the Rancor.
Yeah, Moochie.
Yeah,
hello Moochie.
I love how they just fought each other until they both dropped to the ground, tired, exhausted from the fight, and like it's just showing you that Wrecker is as strong as a baby Rancor, basically. And that was funny to see. But yeah, I really liked the action. Seeing Zygerians again was also fun. And obviously now Omega has got her new a new weapon from that adventure. That she's gonna learn to handle in later episodes. It was a fun mission episode.
I could say the same. It's one of them ones where you can sit down and go, "Oh, that's a bit of fun." So that was interesting.
Definitely, like I feel maybe it could be a skippable episode if you want.
You can do, but
yeah.
No disrespect to the creators. It's not a major thing if you would like this. It's like, say, skipping some of the political parts in the prequel trilogy. We know of it, but it's not like a major talking point. But
Yeah.
we move. So as I said, moving on, we're going to talk about episode 6, and that is Decommissioned. Now, this one's a very interesting episode as well, like with most episodes in the Bad Batch. So Omega is practicing, obviously, target practice with her new weapon, and Sid gets intel that tactical droid information is obviously an important thing, and she basically lands the Bad Batch with their next mission. They go to the planet Corellia. Obviously, we know the planet Corellia from Solo, and obviously the planet where Han Solo's from. So, yeah, again, going back to the Star Wars roots and the references, which was cool. Obviously, it's an old factory that's destroying battle droids and super battle droids, destroyer droids, and obviously tactical droids in this case. Obviously, the information they need is from a tactical droid, and we see 2 characters that appeared in Star Wars: The Clone Wars Season 7, and obviously that is the Martinez sisters?
Martinez, yeah.
Martinez sisters, yeah. 2 characters, obviously, that helped Ahsoka Tano in the Clone Wars Season 7.
Now, those were filler episodes.
Those were filler. They were filler. Lot more going on. We see police droids eventually engage with the Bad Batch. Obviously, Wrecker bangs his head again. And obviously, as I said, later on, you will discover what that will eventually mean and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously, could it mean a sign that things are about to go wrong and everything? So it's like one of those ones, really. It gets your brain ticking, really. As I mentioned, Wrecker obviously bangs his head. There's loads more going on as well. Omega's obviously getting involved. She eventually moves away onto the large rail where obviously all the droids are being crushed and eventually burned. She obviously eventually gets stuck under a droid despite managing to retrieve the target. That is the tactical droid's head. And then she, I believe, is eventually saved by... I haven't written it down. I can't remember. I think she's saved by Hunter and obviously the one of the Martinez sisters there. So she thought that I'm not going to leave her. I might as well save something, even though we are on the same mission to get the tactical droids information. Obviously, there's, like I said, there's more police droids coming in, and eventually Tech, being the genius he is, he eventually manages to get into the system and obviously reprogram the so-called destroyed battle droids, and obviously droids falling apart to turn on the police droids, and eventually obviously they manage to make their way out. And obviously Tech, being the genius he is, he manages to obviously copy data obviously from the tactical droid, and obviously gives it to the Martinez sisters as a gesture. Obviously, thank you. And if I remember from the episode, the original head did get destroyed. If I remember, for some reason, I haven't written this down, which is a bit strange and everything. And obviously, they eventually get saved and everything. And obviously, another character from the Clone Wars era, R7, which is obviously Ahsoka Tano's old protocol droid. Sorry, not protocol droid, astromech droid, I should say, makes an appearance. Obviously, they eventually go on their merry way. And that's pretty much it for that episode, really. Just like you could argue another filler episode where they needed to get information from Sid. And in a way, they have failed, but obviously saved and give them information to somebody else. And obviously, we see one of the sisters talking to a cloaked figure in a hologram, and obviously eventually from the next episode you find out who that character is. So my only thing I like to just question at the end is when did the Martinez sisters discover R7? Because obviously, if I remember from the last episode of the Clone Wars, did R7 get destroyed? If I remember, when they were on the ship.
Probably.
where I think that droid got destroyed. But apart from that, like I said, you could argue again a filler episode, but it was entertaining. But as I said, references to the Clone Wars as well, with old battle droids happening there and everything. And as we are aware, tactical droids were ahead of their time, and it was an okay episode. Not my favourite episode, if I'm being honest, but it was something to look at, and it could have easily been skippable as well. But other than that, I can't complain. What about you, Alan?
I don't have much to add. It was nice. It's always nice to see battle droids when, like, in times when they're not supposed to be there.
Mm-hmm.
So it was, to me, like, it was fun to see battle droids in Rebels, which is an era way past the Clone Wars, and now we see battle droids in action after they've been decommissioned and mostly destroyed.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, as much as I totally acknowledge that, battle droids, they're pretty much a joke in this franchise. Yeah, it was fun to see them in action again, and especially now, not in their natural state. They're fighting for our protagonists rather than against them. So yeah, that was a fun change of pace, and I don't care much for the Martinez sisters.
No, not
honest.
really. I mean, like I said, I'm all for new characters in there, but I don't have a personal connection with them, so I can't really back an argument, if you know what I mean. But it is what it is. It's Star Wars, but that's the way it goes, I'm afraid.
Yeah, and but yeah, it's again, like, I do see the fun in the story, in the mission itself, in the overall, like, outline of what it's supposed to be. And yeah, I feel like for what it's for the purpose that it's supposed to serve, I think it was done really well. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, mate. Fair enough. Before we move on to episode 7, Battle Scars, I need to go to the toilet. So I'll go to the toilet. I'll check the comments eventually.
I'm gonna do that too. I'm gonna do that too. Yeah.
Cool. All right. We'll be back shortly after these adverts. Right, we are back. Sorry about that. Just needed to go to the toilet. Like I said, the next episode we will be talking about will be episode 7, Battle Scars. Now, before I move on, I'm just going to check the chat. We've got some more comments from Crown Vixen V8. He's mentioned I'm still Dogma for life, and I think I would definitely buy a Dogma Black Seas figure if Hesperos would do it. Yeah, that wouldn't surprise me because we know you are a fan of Clone Trooper Dogma, a different character from the Star Wars universe. So yeah, I hope you've enjoyed the stream so far. If you get a few more people watching and commenting, and that's pretty much it really. So yeah, I'll just reading some of the comments, Alan,
Of course.
yeah, we'll move on to episode 7. That is Battle Scars. Now, Battle Scars, apart from episode 14, War Mantle, is up there with my top 2 favorite episodes from the Bad Batch. Now, basically, Battle Scars, episode 7, obviously, it starts off with them obviously delivering a lizard to Sid. There's a few bits of commotion going on in Sid's place. And we see a figure in a dark hood. And we eventually discover that it is indeed everyone's favourite clone trooper, that is Captain Rex. So he arrives on the scene, so it's always good to see Captain Rex on the scene. As I mentioned from a couple of episodes we've just spoken about, Wrecker's head keeps on hurting, and obviously Rex is a little bit worried and hesitant and wondering why Wrecker's head is like that. And obviously, as we know from an audience perspective, obviously the chips can play with the clone trooper's head. So there's a lot of stuff happening there in the first opening minutes of the scene, which is quite interesting. But even though Rex has had obviously his chip removed, he's a little bit fearful and a little bit concerned about the Bad Batch with their chips still in their head. So basically what they decide to do is Rex eventually takes them to a starship graveyard. I can't remember the name of the planet, but they eventually make their way onto the old Republic cruiser. And whilst they're doing their own thing throughout the Republic cruiser, Wrecker falls into a large pit, should we say. And I'm not too sure if I'm right in saying this, but it's a very, very similar to a Sarlacc pit, wasn't it, Alan? But it's like a water version of it. So that was something interesting to see. As I said, it's like a Sarlacc pit and everything, which was interesting. And eventually make their way into the medical bay on the Republic cruiser. And it's around about that time where obviously Hunter, Wrecker, and Tech obviously want to have a discussion and eventually remove their inhibitor chips. Obviously, I didn't say Echo because obviously Echo had the problems when he was captured on that planet in season 7 of the Clone Wars. I can't remember.
Mm-hmm.
And so whether his chip completely went, most likely it did, because obviously they were extracting information, and that's why they wanted to obviously try and figure out the clones' movements in battles and commands and everything. Yeah. So whilst they're removing their chips, obviously Wrecker is the I believe, if I remember from the episode, is the first person to get his chip removed. But obviously Wrecker being Wrecker, he's not the shyest or the quietest of the bunch, and he obviously grabs Tech, slams into the floor, and literally goes complete and utter mad. The chip has started to kick in. He's not the same character that fans have started to see at the start of the Bad Batch. See, it's sort of like a very likable, sort of like aggressive character, and he completely loses the plot. He goes on a rampage by obviously having a go at Echo, Hunter, and obviously eventually later on we see him try to attack Omega. There's lots of things going on as well. He's obviously, Omega's trying to hide from Wrecker. There's things going on, and basically, he's literally going for it. Wrecker, he's literally lost complete control over everyone. The littlest thing in his head has completely turned into something that he's not. whilst there's stuff going on, Omega's trying to obviously reason with Wrecker, and there's other stuff going on. And eventually, we see Captain Rex eventually stun Wrecker, which was obviously just about time. And eventually, later on, we see Tech, Hunter, and Wrecker eventually remove their chips. Wrecker is obviously sorry for what has happened to Omega and everything. Obviously, apologizes for everything that's gone on. And basically, that's just
The popcorn.
And they eat popcorn, yeah, after every mission. That is basically the episode, really. But I kind of feel for Wrecker in this episode, because if you would ask me, Alan, who's my favourite member of the Bad Batch, it is Wrecker, because even though he's this aggressive, sort of muscly character, he's sort of got like a child's instinct, but there's something to really like about him, if you know what I mean.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
Hunter is obviously the man who's very good. He wants to do everything by the book. Tech's sort of the computer savvy geezer. Echo's sort of more of a so-called cautious, but wants to sort of get things done, whereas Wrecker just wants to smash everything, blow everything up. But there is something to like about all four of them. But obviously, Wrecker in this case, personally for me, if you was to say who was my favourite character from the Bad Batch, it is Wrecker, because he has got a soft side to him, despite being this huge honk of a clone who can blow stuff up and do his own thing. So it's nice to see a sort of a more softer side. And it was like I said, a reference yet again from the end of Clone Wars, where Rex, obviously, with the help of Ahsoka and R7, removed his chip, and obviously they've removed their chips and everything. And it was a decent episode, but it just shows you that of Wrecker's capability and the size of him, how one person could go from being absolutely normal to going on a rampage. But it was a good episode nevertheless. And as I said, Battle Scars is up there with episode 14, War Mantle, which we will get onto soon. Alan, your initial thoughts of Battle Scars?
Yeah, it was well, it was interesting to see now that we go back to dealing with the inhibitor chips. Because it was set up from pretty much the beginning of the season, and now that we get to see Rex again, and he's a part of it, and that's great, because like who else would be part of this story that involves that that subject. I like that we get to see a more human part in, like you said, a more human part in Wrecker. I get a lot of comments saying how I get a lot of criticism saying how the Bad Batch is full of very one-dimensional characters, with familiar tropes and whatnot that we've seen before. But I feel like with some of these characters we get a bit more than that.
Yeah.
And we see it a bit in Hunter, we see it a bit in Wrecker. We have yet to see it in we see it a tiny bit in Crosshair later on, believe it or not. But I do, yeah, there is there is room for more development in these characters, but it's great that we got to see to see this human connection between Wrecker and Omega.
It's sort of like an older brother trait, isn't it? He's looking out for her.
Yeah,
You wouldn't see that side of him, because even though he is this huge character, like I said, there's a softer side to him.
Yeah. It's, and like I always like the aspect of Wrecker that he is the he's the muscle, the funny muscle, and the comedic relief and the jokes and everything. Oh, I like to make shit blow up,
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, here that we get to see this aspect of him that he can't control himself, and he's about to hurt someone that he really cares about.
Well, like I said, he even
It's
mentioned it,
yeah,
didn't he? I tried to hold myself back, but it just took.
yeah, it's really dark, and it's great that we get to see our characters in situations like this that that flesh out a more just flesh out more of their characters, basically.
Indeed, yeah.
And yeah, that the stakes here, again, very predictable, that that nothing bad was gonna happen from that, but yeah, initially what it was supposed to be, the stakes were supposed to be high. Oh, it's Wrecker and he's under the influence. He's taking drugs, man. He's gonna kill everyone. Yeah, it's yeah, it was done well in that aspect. But then again, we the audience, I feel like we didn't really feel the stakes much. I feel like we were able to predict the outcome of this little story, and that everyone was gonna get away, was gonna just everything that was gonna be okay for everyone, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a thing that kind of bugs me in Star Wars, but at the same time, I'd rather see this than an attempt to well, I'd rather see this than a bad attempt to what do you say, what's the word I'm looking for, an attempt to shit, I lost the word there.
Ruin or change or
yeah, to change to, well, the is like the purpose would be to it starts with a D and it ends with expectations, and it's something that Rian Johnson tried to do with The Last Jedi. What's the word there? I lost it. Shit.
It'll probably come back to you. I can't think of it at the top of my head.
Yeah.
Something.
Yeah.
It like try to compromise.
Yeah,
It or
try to mess with us, basically.
Yeah.
I'd rather have like this than that, basically.
Yeah, it'd be like that. Just don't keep shitting on us. Just leave it how it is. Like it's done. Like just don't.
Yeah.
Just yeah. Okay. All right. We're going to move on to episode 8. So halfway through, and that episode 8 is Reunion. So basically, what this obviously follows up from Battle Scars. Scrappers, obviously.
I need to look it up. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Yeah. Have a look for it. Scrappers are obviously on the planet looking for our characters. Obviously, the Scrappers, they were very similar uniform or outfits to the characters on Jedi Fallen Order. Omega is disarming.
Subvert expectations.
There you go.
It doesn't start with a D, but subvert expectations.
There you go. You got it. Yeah.
I was thinking of maybe derailing or something like that, but subvert. Yeah, that's the word. Sorry, go on.
That's all right. As I said, Omega is obviously disarming a thermal detonator. She's obviously doing a lesson there. Clone Force 99 obviously are thinking of getting weapons for Sid, obviously from the Imperial cruiser. The gang gather their weapons and make a move before the Empire can obviously move in. Obviously, they get contact. Obviously they are on the planet. And obviously we find out that Crosshair has been told that the clones are on this planet. Things go on and everything. The clones engage. There's obviously large firefight going on and everything. There's loads of parts going everywhere and everything. There's plenty of action going on, which is really, really, really cool. And basically, there's just so much action going on. They want to get as many weapons they can from Sid, but obviously they've got Crosshair and his team on their shoulders. And there's a scene as well where they are trapped in, I believe it's the artillery part of the ship, and obviously they get Tech to do his thing, and obviously it fires the cannon in the main artillery bit, and there's loads of debris falling down and everything, and some of the characters obviously get trapped and eventually make their way out to the other part of the ship. So there's plenty of action going on there. A few clone troopers getting killed and obviously squashed by falling debris and everything. And they eventually make their way down to the engine part. And obviously Crosshair manages to obviously contact one of his troops to obviously to turn the engines on. But the Bad Batch, or Clone Force 99 being what they are, they obviously plan to plant explosives on the ship to stop the engines coming from online. Obviously, the engines explode, i.e. from obviously their trick, what they gun. And obviously, as the engines blow up, obviously they eventually come online. The sheer force and the magnitude of the engines knocks a load of clone troopers out, or possibly killing them as well. And we see Crosshair get injured, and obviously he's got this large sort of bandage on his head, and it turns out he obviously eventually got burnt and damage from the engines that literally completely took him off his feet. So there's plenty of stuff going on there, but like I said, the Bad Batch being what they are were very, very cool in their planning. So as I said, we've got plenty of action going on there, and obviously Crosshair gets burnt and gets injured, and obviously the Bad Batch are obviously doing their thing and everything. And as if I can remember, Hunter and Omega make it back to their ship, there was clone troopers there, but all the clone troopers have been taken out, and it's a bit suspicious on why these clone troopers have been taken out. And then we discover someone who we've seen in the Clone Wars series, and personally one of my favourite bounty hunters alongside Django and Boba Fett, and that is indeed Cad Bane, who is a fantastic bounty hunter in the Clone Wars series, and it was so sick and so brilliant to see him appear back on the screen again. Obviously, I believe it's Corey Burton who voices him as well, who voiced Count Dooku and other great Star Wars characters in the Clone Wars. But just to see him back on screen again in his cowboy look, looking like an alien version of Clint Eastwood from a spaghetti western film, was brilliant. And obviously him and Hunter have a standoff, and obviously Cad Bane, he ends up hitting Hunter in the chest, and obviously Cad Bane eventually escapes with his prize, which is obviously Omega. He's obviously been contracted to find Omega, and they eventually manage to get Hunter onto the ship. They eventually escape, and that's the end of the episode. But obviously the big talking point of that episode in Reunion is the return of Cad Bane. But apart from that, a fantastic appearance from Cad Bane. It's always fantastic to see him on the big screen. As I said, he's like an alien version of Clint Eastwood in a spaghetti western film. But he made the episode seeing Cad Bane again, and he was really cold as well. And obviously we saw his little droid as well, voiced by Seth Green, who obviously voiced him in the Clone Wars series as well. But episode 8 Reunion, I did enjoy it, especially for the reasons of Cad Bane returning. Adam, what's your initial thoughts on it? And obviously I could see you were happy when I mentioned Cad Bane.
Yes. Well, first of all, obviously it's always fun to see clones in action, and especially with the Bad Batch, seeing seeing the squad escape, try and escape a pack of clones. This is really the first. This is really the first time in Star Wars content that I feel how serious that I feel the seriousness of the Empire. I like, that they're really imposing, and they follow you everywhere you go, and they're serious, and they're not being. It's the first time that they're not being really played off as a joke,
No.
as opposed to other movies and shows that we've seen before.
Yeah.
Compared to Rebels, where in Rebels stormtroopers were a complete joke.
Yeah, they were clowns, just in white armor.
With the clone troopers, with the clone troopers here in the Bad Batch being turned into the Empire's the Empire's Imperial soldiers. I feel a lot more of they have a lot more impact, that there's a lot more stakes with them. They feel you get the sense that they're a force to be reckoned with, that they're a force to be feared. In a show that they're a serious threat.
Yeah, you're looking at them, watching, thinking these people, they're not here to fuck about. These people are serious.
Yeah. Then again, there is the occasional moment where they kind of fuck up. For example, when that one clone thought he recognized Cut in episode 2.
Yeah.
But then he just let him go, and that I feel
Move
like
along.
it's a bit of a it's a bit of a contradictory a moment to what I'm saying here. But whenever we see a scene of the squad trying to escape the troopers, or we get to see a lot more of these types of moments, and I feel like in those moments we get to really feel the stakes, and I like that. Even though again it stays predictable, but at least the troopers, the threat is not a joke like it often is in Star Wars. And then we get Cad Bane, the comeback of Cad Bane, which up until his return we thought that he was just gone. We saw from the deleted the early animatics of what was supposed to happen in the end of the Clone Wars, and one of the finishing, one of the closing arcs of the Clone Wars was the standoff between Boba Fett and Cad Bane, and we saw that how first of all Boba got the dent on his helmet, and we also see that both of them fell. So we had assumed that Cad Bane just got headshot and rest in peace. But no, we see that we get we see that I believe at least that that this takes place after that story that was supposed to happen, because then in the next episode we see that there is a bit of a thing on his head around that area where you suppose he was shot. It's the technology that you get to see in Star Wars.
It's Cad Bane, isn't it? It's Cad Bane. He's such a sick bounty hunter.
Yeah, it's I really adore Cad Bane.
First time you laid eyes on him in the final episode of season 1 of Clone Wars, Hostage Crisis, and he's just like, "Son, I wouldn't be so hasty about that." And he just says to Zero the Hutt is like, time to pay up. I don't work for free. He's a proper sort of like spaghetti western bounty hunter in a science fiction universe. He's cold hearted. He's cold blooded. He's so cool. He's so cool. And I'm hoping the Vintage Collection and Black Series in this case make a figure. Get your ass into gear, because he would be sick. Yeah. In 3/4 inch and Black Series. So fingers crossed.
Well, they did make actually a 6-inch Black Series.
Of course it did, yeah. Of course it did. Yeah. 3/4 inch. They are.
But yeah, Cad Bane, he steals every scene that he is in. It's great to see him. I hope to see a lot more of him in the future. And it was great to see him in this episode and in the following episode to that.
Yeah.
And yeah, you just directly immediately get, Western vibes, like you said, in the standoff between him and Hunter. And he is also Cad Bane, also another example of a great way to, well, first of all, to impose a threat on the characters, and to subvert expectations, which, well, now we know that. Now we get to see one of our characters get really hurt really badly.
Yeah,
like Hunter got shot almost lethally.
Yeah, and like I said, it's the first time when a Bad Batch are really like close to sort of, oh, hang on, we've got to be really careful now, the Empire. But all of a sudden, this so-called bounty hunters come out of nowhere. So, like I said, the threat is real, and obviously the Empire.
That's the thing about Cad Bane, is that he knows how to handle clones. He stole a fucking uniform from one back in season 2.
Yeah, and obviously he stole one of the ships as well. So
he totally knows how to handle these types of situations and handle clones. Yeah, so careful there.
But as you said, mate, he steals the show, and he's so cool. Yeah. As I said, we got a Black Series.
We need a Cad Bane show, man.
Yeah, we got a Black Series figure. Obviously, Alan reminded me, and I just remember myself. Oh yeah, we have, but make a 3 3/4 inch version of him. Add the little droid. Add some gadgets. That would be sick. But no, he's the man. He's the man, Cad Bane. He's great character.
Absolutely.
So we're going to move on now to episode 9, which is Bounty Lost.
Almost there, guys. We're
nearly there. Yeah. Episode 9, Bounty Lost. Obviously, Omega was obviously got captured by Cad Bane. She's in a cell, and Cad Bane intends to deliver his bounty to his buyer. And obviously, this case it turns out to be the Kaminoans, and basically, he wants to try and get his bounty to Kamino as quick as possible. Obviously, his little droid, Cad Bane's little handy droid, if you want to call him that. Obviously, he's trying to repair his leg, because obviously in the previous episode, which I forgot to mention, it did get shot by Hunter. And it mentions Omega's obviously asking why is Omega important, obviously the Prime Minister, and I think it's Lama Su and Lama Say, if I mentioned, if they're the right names, if I mentioned. And obviously they mentioned about Omega's blood is important to them, and obviously they know the importance of it. And as obviously Alan kindly mentioned earlier on, Omega is from a small chain of DNA known as Alpha, and obviously Alpha, the only other person named Alpha to have the same blood as Omega is Boba Fett. So technically that is Boba Fett's sister in this case, and as Anna mentioned as well, obviously she's from the first chain of clone troopers, I being the Generation 1, if I remember what they're called.
But here's the thing. She doesn't have accelerated aging, but she is younger than Boba Fett.
That's the thing, yeah. Their class is the sister, I think I'm right in saying, and it will be a sister, wouldn't it? The sister of Boba Fett is Omega,
Oh, yeah.
Like with the Bad Batch, it's her brothers, because they obviously come from
Yeah.
a line of cloning
Yeah.
stuff. So that was a good insight there that
Then
Dave
again, like
Filoni and
you
his
ask
team done.
yourself, at what point was she made? If she doesn't, because she seems younger than everyone. She is younger than Boba Fett,
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
but she is older than every other clone.
yeah. Despite being a Generation 1
And
clone,
she is
as we
called
mentioned.
Omega, implying that she was in the last batch of clones ever
That's
made.
right. That's right. Yeah, that's right. So that was an interesting development there. So good
So
there
it's
from
it's
the team.
interesting like thing to think about. Yeah, maybe
And
a
that's it.
thing
It
to
gets
do
you
research
thinking.
about. Yeah.
Yeah, it gets you thinking.
Yeah.
Obviously, Bane arrives at the location. Obviously, Bane. Where are we? Sorry. Bane arrives at the location. Bane realizes that he's obviously not alone, and we also see Shan. As Ella mentioned, Fennec Shan appears, and obviously Cad Bane and Fennec Shan have a face-off, which was really, really cool.
Yeah.
And obviously the buyer, I think it was Lama Say, who appeared in episode 2 of the Clone Wars, realizes that obviously she's been shot and killed. And whilst there's things going on, Omega discovers these.
Oh wait, no. The Kaminoan who showed up was actually the one.
Oh, is it not the one from Attack of the Clones?
The one that received Obi-Wan in Attack of the Clones.
I was. Did I say that? Or did I? Did I mention it was
they're two different Kaminoas. Lama,
right?
Yeah.
Lama Su and Lama Say, I think, isn't there? Is there 2? I think there's 2.
Well, I think Lama Su. One of them is the Prime Minister.
Yeah.
And then the second one is the scientist.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
But this one that showed up, I don't remember her name, but she's very different from the other two that we're used to.
That's right. Yeah.
On screen regularly.
Yeah, I've got you now. I've muddled myself up. Yeah, she's the one who introduced Obi-Wan to the Prime Minister on Kamino.
Yes.
As I mentioned,
Boba, yeah.
That's right. As I mentioned, Omega Omega discovers that these large green tanks in the so-called area where she's been kept held, obviously possibly cloning for the Empire or other facilities that the Kaminoans know about. Very similar to a scene that we saw in The Mandalorian, where we saw the tanks.
Yeah.
On that planet there.
We saw a big giant
green. What was the planet? Navarro. Is it Navarro? Yeah, Navarro. We
saw a giant clone of a Kaminoan.
That's right.
That would make you think, oh shit, that's Snoke, but no.
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 So there's nice little references there, which was cool. And then as there's more fighting going on, Omega moves from Fennec Shan, and eventually we discover that Omega eventually manages to find a small ship. Obviously, going back beforehand, she manages to send her location to the Bad Batch, and eventually Omega escapes, and she's reunited with the Bad Batch. And obviously, while that was going on, there was a really good fight between Shan and Cad Bane, which was very, very cool.
Mm-hmm.
And if I remember correctly, I think Cad Bane managed to come out on top just. But as Bane was about to escape, Fennec Shan, no, was it Fennec Shan or Omega? I can't remember. They done something to his engines, if I remember. I think it may have been Fennec Shan, if I remember. And obviously, she eventually escapes, and they mentioned to her, and they mentioned to her that the payment will be paid despite that, and if there's any more information, let her know as soon as possible. But a good episode, and as you mentioned, Adam, Shan, this is my bounty. I've been doing it long enough.
Yeah,
but it was good seeing them two fight, like I said, two bounty hunters, eh? He got upset. My credits. No. What have you done to my credits, Alan? But no, a good episode. It was good to see them. Good to see them two fighting. But it was a good episode. Episode 10. Episode 9. Bounty Lost. Thoughts, Annie? As usual. Thoughts.
Fun seeing Cad Bane on screen, obviously, and the fight between him and Shand was also well done. There was a good story there of obviously Omega being in trouble, and the gang trying to find her and rescue her, while there's this bigger conspiracy all around the story of like bounty hunters looking for Omega because they were hired by Cam Nowens because she's very valuable, but we don't know why. There's a bigger bigger conspiracy behind all of this that we don't know about much. And decent episode. Yeah,
it was good. Really, really good. Like I said, just seeing two bounty hunters fighting and trying to get their job done for their credits, and here we are.
Yeah.
Okay, moving on. Nothing in the chat as normal, so hopefully we can get some more comments soon. Episode 10, we're going to be taking a look at Common Ground. Now, this is obviously another episode, obviously from the Bad Batch. Senator Harvey Singh needs to be rescued from the clones. These droid, I should say, manages to send a distress call to Sid, and they need to go to the planet Raxus, which was obviously the former homeworld of the separatists. And obviously the clones make their way to the planet Raxus, and they manage to obviously land their ship in a large forest area. Obviously, while they're doing that, Omega has been told by Hunter to stay there, and Stid starts the gamble. And obviously, Omega discovers that Sid's strategy is not working, and they sort of like form a little partnership there. And obviously, later in the episode, you see what happens there. Whilst that's going on, the clones manage to make their way into the palace, where obviously that senator is being held, but obviously the alarms are set. They manage to escape as well with the help of an ATT walker. Obviously, that gets knocked down a bit by a hit from another cannon, but despite being damaged, they manage to obviously escape. Tech usually does, he manages to obviously command the walker, manages to get back online and working. There's loads of action, firing, explosions going on everywhere, which is really, really cool. They eventually make their way down an alley, and obviously they can't escape, but obviously they manage to obviously blow a hole in the wall, and they eventually escape into the forest. Obviously the senator wants to help his people, but obviously he realizes that there's a time for helping and obviously hiding from the Empire. So obviously he makes his way off Raxus with obviously the rest of the Clone Force 99. And whilst that's going on, and once they obviously return from their mission on the planet Raxus, obviously Omega is obviously dealing with Sid. They're gambling, doing their own thing. Hunter obviously doesn't like what's going on, but Omega, being obviously how obviously young she is, and obviously being a kind-hearted person to her fellow brothers, she eventually pays the debts off for Sid, and that's basically part of the episode, really. So yeah, again, you could argue another filler episode, but despite things going differently for the Bad Batch, Omega was able to pay the debts off for Sid, and eventually they became all square. But it's just like most things, someone in need of help, and the Bad Batch come calling, really. But that said, you could argue a filler episode, but it's all part of what is to come later on in the series. Anything to add on that, Adam? that one?
Yeah. Again, this is another filler, another example for filler episode that I really enjoyed because we get to again we get to see something that we don't see often.
Mm.
We see things. We see a bit of things from the point of view of a former foe of the Republic of our
Mm-hmm.
characters. Um, we see that the Empire is taking over uh, a lot of planets uh, that used to be both in the Republic and the Separatist.
Mm-hmm.
In this instance, we get to see it from the point of view of the Separatists, which is not something that we saw often in the Clone Wars. We saw a tiny bit of it in the Clone Wars,
Yeah.
and now
If I
we
can remember, Alan, sorry to interrupt you, it was the time where Ahsoka and Padme went to
yes
visit her old friend.
yes. So we get to see a bit of that, and now we get to see a bit more of that in this episode of the Bad Batch. We get to see a senator that um, that was initially in the in the opposition to the Republic, and now he's being forced to join the new galactic order that is the Galactic Empire. Um, which is the Republic 2.0, bigger and badder, if you will.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, that was interesting to see, and obviously that brings conflicting feelings to the clones, to our gang, because um, they're not big fans of separatists.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but circumstances have changed, and now everything is in chaos, and the enemy of your enemy has become your friend, more than your enemy. Um, and so they find themselves in a situation that they need to help a former foe, which is I like these kinds of stories.
Hmm.
Um,
Same here. They're interesting, and they can obviously
yeah,
come together to sort of try and resolve
and
stuff that's been in the past, but to fight for the goal now. Yeah.
yeah, and again, you see how the empire is being a threat. You see how they try to escape the planet, and they're being chased by clones and by the Walker. Was it an ATT? Was it?
ATTE. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I love that they managed to get that thrown in the episode, that vehicle. Um, yeah, it's always fun to see these types of vehicles uh, being included as part of the story, as a tool to like fight or escape. Um, and yeah, overall a pretty decent episode. Again, a good example of not boring filler.
Mm-hmm.
Um, at least for me, in my opinion. And uh, we yeah, solid episode overall.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Same here. Solid
Yeah.
episode. Good story and good arc as well. Really. So yeah, we'll take that. Moving on. We're on episode 11 now. Devil's Deal. Now,
Mhm.
like with most things as well, Star Wars throwing it back yet again. We visit the planet Ryloth, and we also see a young Hera Syndulla, and obviously with her parents as well that are in the
Oh
episode as
boy.
well. Senator Tar as well, obviously the big character that we've seen in the Star Wars universe, and we've seen a familiar droid as well, Chopper, and obviously I've mentioned Hera as well. Talking of Hera, obviously you mentioned Kanan Jarrus's voice. What did you make of Hera's one? Was it more of a childlike version.
Hers
Obviously, it
was a bit more
was a bit
fitting.
better, wasn't it? It was
It's a
a
bit
bit
better,
better.
yeah.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
suits
I
her
thought it
better,
was.
but yeah,
Yeah,
you still don't like understand. Is she a child? Is she a teenager? Is it, what?
yeah,
But yeah, that her voice worked better for her than Kanan's
yeah. It's sort of
work
like
for him. Yeah,
more of a softer tone, like
yeah,
pushing it down a bit. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Moving on.
Rebels characters, yay.
Yeah. Oh, and Chopper, eh? Chopper.
Hmm.
So yeah, always good to see Chopper. He makes me laugh. He is that quirky little droid. After that, we see Gobi and Hera obviously meet with Clone Force 99 to buy weapons. Obviously, the reason they're buying weapons is obviously the Empire, and obviously they've told Chams and Duda to bring about their weapons. The war's over. Get rid of your weapons, but obviously they think otherwise. Obviously, they buy their weapons off the Bad Batch whilst they're coming back down into orbit, and obviously going through different parts of Ryloth. Hera's ship gets shot down, and their clones make their way into position to see what has happened. Obviously, Syndulla engages the. Oh no, I'm going a bit far. So yeah, they get captured. Charm and his wife figure out what's happened to Hera. They eventually get a small gang together. They obviously engage the turbo tank to rescue Hera, his daughter. With that being said, obviously Hera stuff happens there. And whilst things are going on as well, Senator Tar, obviously the larger character, gets shot by Crosshair. Whilst that's going on as well, Hera's parents are arrested. We see them get escorted away. And that's pretty much it for that episode, really. Nothing much to say. Obviously, we see the clone troopers, well, in this case, the clone trooper who fought alongside Shan, what's his name? Clone Captain Hauser. You can obviously you see his character eventually develop from episode 11 to episode 12. I should say, sorry. But yeah, what did you make of Devil's Den? Seeing familiar characters that we know, and like I said, a different side to the Empire. They're guilty, but we frame other people for it. What did you make of that?
Yeah, I mean, it was well. See, here's the thing. It wasn't. It was a good, like, it was a good story. It was a good concept and everything, but at the end of the day, it is a bit of a filler episode that you feel a bit bored with.
Yeah, yeah.
Despite the good stuff in this episode, that you see more world building, and you see more of we see a different side of the story now. We see a bit more of Crosshair for a change.
Obviously, he's injured as well.
Yes,
Obviously, from what happened in the previous episodes we spoke about. Yeah.
yes, and you see the occupation of another planet by the Empire, um, uh, showing us how intimidating it can get, and uneasy with this new regime. Another spark of the rebellion that we get to see in this episode with Hera and her family. Ryloth, the planet Ryloth. There was an entire 3-episode arc, 3 or 4 episode arc in the Clone Wars.
Yeah.
there were like 3 consecutive episodes in I believe it was either season 1 or season 2, and then
I think it was season 1, if I remember.
Yeah.
Season 1 with
yeah,
obviously
and
Mace Windu and all that lot. Yeah.
yeah, and then an extra episode in season 3 with Jedi Master Dai.
Mm-hmm.
I believe that was also in Ryloth when
Yeah.
So yeah, it's one of the more major planets that were impacted by this by the Clone Wars, and now by the new Galactic Empire. That planet really had it rough during the war. They really struggled, and
they don't really know what they're going to get themselves into with the Empire.
yeah, and now
they are
they're being promised peace, but it feels like a dictatorship.
Which obviously they don't want to be a part of.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like the freedom that they initially fought for. So that in it of itself is an interesting aspect to explore. It's nice to see characters that we already know come back, and especially in ways that fit into the story of the Bad Batch. And the show.
So, yeah, fair enough, mate. Fair enough.
Yeah, and now we get to we get now to see the following episode that plays as a the second part to the payoff to this setup, basically. The reason why we saw an entire episode that was 90% without the main cast. So do go on.
Okay,
with the next episode.
As you mentioned, and I mentioned obviously the next episode, that is indeed episode 12, which is Rescue on Ryloth. So the Syndulla parents are in prison. Hera is obviously in trouble and needs to send out a transition to the Bad Batch. Obviously, Clone Force 99 arrives on Ryloth. Whilst they're doing their own thing, a probe droid discovers their position. Hunter destroys it. Hera and Omega, obviously, later on, like with obviously the planning to stop Ryloth, instead of obviously planning to rescue the Syndulla's parents, they managed to attack the large oil refinery that is there. And as I mentioned, Hera and Omega want to obviously attack the fuel base, and obviously basically to lure the clone troopers away from the capital. Chopper manages obviously to sneak into the base. Hunter and Echo make their way into the base, and Hera and Omega steal the ship. They destroy the cannons that are obviously overlooking the towers. Tech and Wrecker obviously destroy more parts of the base as well when they're flying in as well to try and destroy that fuel base. Obviously, eventually the Syndulla's parents eventually get released, while Crosshair and his team close in and obviously wait outside the front gate. And as I mentioned from the other episode, Captain Hauser, who's the clone captain who served with Cham Syndulla, has realised that what they're doing is wrong. And basically, he buys the Syndullas and the Bad Batch a little bit more time. So eventually, our heroes escape. And obviously, Hera and Omega say goodbye to each other. But Hauser, being the clone captain he is, has taken on board responsibility to say that what they're doing on Ryloth is wrong. and he's willing to stand up for his belief of this is wrong, and whether any of his brothers will. And obviously, if you see from the scene, some of the clone troopers put down their riot shields and their weapons to say, right, we agree with Captain Hauser. And once that episode ends, obviously he's eventually arrested, and whether we'll see any more of this character in the Bad Batch or any other future content, we'll wait and see. And yeah, that's pretty much the episode for Rescue on Ryloth, and it was just interesting to see a clone captain who we discovered in this series is new to have an impact on people to say, well, he's doing the right thing. And it was a good episode, and like I said, it's good to see another version of a clone's perspective to say that this Empire thing is wrong, and there are clones out there who, despite having the chips, they're not willing to go ahead with it because they know what's right and what's wrong. And that was a good thing they explained well in this episode. And like I said, whether Captain Hauser is still alive will be another thing. But like with Hasbro, release more clone troopers, because the clones in the Bad Batch are really cool. It'd be sick to have them as a figure. But other than that, a decent episode, and nice to see other clone troopers standing up for one another.
Yes.
Your thoughts, Alan? Similar to mine?
Yes, very, very similar to yours. I like that in this show we get to see the clones very differently. The regular clones, that is. In the first episode, we see them in an entirely different lens. We see them as more jerks than the reasonable soldiers that we got to know in the more reasonable and more like human, warm soldiers that we got to know in the Clone Wars. These ones, they're very they're more jerks. You know, they bully the Bad Batch a bit. And now with this new regime, their mind, it just set the settings changed to jerk mode, basically. And now in this episode we get to see the part that we're more familiar with from the clones. We see a clone that is that keeps true to what we knew in the Clone Wars. The clone that believes in the right fight.
What is right, what is wrong as well.
Yeah. And the one that clone that cares for the thing that he helped fight for, which is the freedom of Ryloth, the freedom of these people who were initially oppressed by the separatists, and seeing that they are becoming the very oppressors that they fought. Yeah, that's it. Hauser's I hope to see more of him. I think he is becoming one of the popular clones now. In the fandom. As of the rest of the episode, it was decent. I say that a lot about the, it gets repetitive, but yeah, the show as a whole is
they're not awful, they're just,
it's not awful, it's really, it's decent. There are episodes that are better than others, obviously, but yeah, you'll hear this from me a lot, because that there's really not much more or less to say about these episodes other than they're decent and some of them are very fun to watch. And this one, well, we're talking about a prison escape episode, kind of an extraction, if you will.
Which they are always fun to watch, regardless.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really just another another Friday for the Bad Batch, if you will. So yeah, we're familiar with this type of episode. We've seen it plenty of times before. In in the Clone Wars, in Rebels, in the Mandalorian, we've seen it everywhere basically.
And it's nothing new as well.
There's nothing really new other than the characters involved, and now well, with what's his face, the clone, the regular Hauser, yes.
Hauser, yeah, the reg.
The reg. Yeah. Yeah, a rebellious, another rebellious a clone that, well, we the audience, we know that he is right, but history will not see it that way because he's betraying the regime now. And we see that not every clone is pro Empire. And that's great. And I hope to see more of that in later seasons of the Bad Batch. Who knows? Maybe there'll be an entire, more expanded clone squad army that will fight against the Empire rather than with it. So
you never know with Star Wars.
You never know. Yeah, it brings sort of a promise, I want to say. But yeah, other than that, there's not much else to say, really.
No, we'll leave it at that, mate. We'll leave it at that. We move on again. The next episode we're going to take a look at. We're nearly there, lads. We're nearly there. Episode 13, and that is Infested.
Right.
Now, Clone Force 99 eventually returns to All Mantel. The planet obviously has a major role in hyperspace routes for smuggling. They want to disrupt a collection of spice. The Bad Batch sneak into an underground smuggling tunnel to gather the spice from Sid's office. But little do they know, there's other characters involved in it. Obviously, other characters from the Clone Wars series, the Pikes, and obviously did one of them appear in Solo, if I remember, or
one of the no,
I
don't think so.
I don't think so. No, Clone Wars. It is Clone Wars. I thought they one of them appeared in Solo, but no, I was wrong. Moving on, where was I?
Maybe in a different uniform, but
probably in a different uniform. Yeah,
that I recognized.
No, I think going back now, I don't think they did. No, Clone Force 99 eventually steal the spice, and they get attacked by guards, and obviously, as I mentioned, the Pikes have an interest in the spice. They want the clones, but basically, when they're fighting the guards, these large creatures obviously come up and everything. The spice has obviously dropped from their large transports that they were using there. As I mentioned, they want the clones to get the spice from the tunnels, but Omega must stay with the Pikes. Sids and Wrecker locate the spice, but the cable cart with the cable. Where are we? Sorry. Obviously, with the cable cart, they use obviously to get the spice and obviously return to the the spice. As I mentioned, the cable cart eventually falls, and they're attacked again. Tech, being the genius he is, drops like a large or a small like lighting bomb where it would drop down into the tunnel and the lights would just vaporize them creatures and everything. Obviously, the Pikes, they get their spice, and they make a statement by cutting off one of the horns on Roland Durand. And that's pretty much it for that episode, really. They were meant to do one thing and then they ended up doing it again. But yeah, that's pretty much it for episode 13, Infested. Not much to say there. I said you could argue again, another filler episode where they're going back.
This is really one of the more filler episodes that we
didn't
really need.
It's honestly. Sort of like trying to psych itself up to the other episode. It wasn't like, say, a personal favourite of mine, but it was something that's just in the way. It was okay, as I said. Characters we haven't seen before, new characters we've seen, and I don't really have much to say about that episode. Infested. It was okay. It was not awful, and it's just mainly filler, really. They got the job done first time round in a way, went back to do it again, and then everyone was happy, really. That's all I can really say about Infested. Mm-hmm. Would you argue as well, Adam? Not much to say.
I mean, yeah, it's this one is really the kind of episode that I would definitely skip. That being said, I do recognize that it touches on the fact that sometimes things go wrong with your associates, that the people that you work with, they get in trouble, and not everything is will smooth as butter in the galaxy, and that's pretty much what this episode touches base on. But other than that, yeah, it's a really, you don't need to watch that episode in order to understand the grander story of the season or the series. Definitely skippable.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Like that being a bit skippable, we'll move on. Episode 14, we're going to take a look at my personal favourite episode from the first series of The Bad Batch, and that is War Mantle. We see a clone trooper on the run in a forest. He eventually gets stunned by a blaster, but leaves a device on the ground. Obviously, Rex makes contact with the Bad Batch to rescue a clone trooper from the planet. I think it's Darak. I think that's how you pronounce it. Darak. I think that's how you pronounce it. Could be wrong. Obviously, the clone troopers, they start to leave Camino as the Empire cancels the plans to continue the cloning program on Camino. Hunter eventually locates what happened to the clone. They discover there is a base in a mountain. It's an Imperial military base, and we see a zoom in of the binoculars that they're using, and there are clone commandos on that planet, and we also see new armor for the troopers. And if you recognize the armor, it was inspired by old Ralph McQuarrie artwork from Star Wars Episode 4, The New Hope, which is a nice touch there. Once they discover that the troopers have got new armor, Tech, Echo, and Hunter move into the base. As I said, Stormtroopers wear old armor, obviously Ralph McQuarrie inspired. And we then discover that these troopers have TK numbers, which is obviously the number for the clones. And they eventually do their own thing like they usually do, the Bad Batch. And they eventually manage to locate where the prisoner is. And they eventually rescued the prisoner. And it turns out that the prisoner is a character that we've seen in Star Wars Clone Wars Season 5 and Star Wars Rebels. And that indeed to be a clone commando himself, that being Captain Gregor. He's obviously the prisoner. As I said, we've seen it from Season 5 of the Clone Wars and Rebels. Once they managed to rescue Captain Gregor, there's music in the background that obviously is really good. It's obviously from Star Wars Episode 4, A New Hope. And as we mentioned, we see more Republic Commandos, and it's actually Scorch from the Delta squad. And Gregor gets shot twice by Scorch and eventually gets knocked out, and a few of them get taken down. They eventually move their way into another part of the base. The clones eventually engage the Clone Force 99 eventually engage the Stormtroopers. Whilst they're going through this large tunnel that's going out to this large cliff area, the clones obviously getting attacked. The ship gets damaged a bit, and whilst they're doing their own thing, Hunter falls down into the trees and lands on the floor. He's eventually surrounded by clones and troops. Clone Force 99 makes the ultimate sacrifice into escaping into hyperspace. The Prime Minister of Kamino is being spoken to and is eventually dealt with. And then once that's happened, Crosshair comes along and meets Hunter, and the episode ends. So that was episode 14, War Mantle. As I mentioned, that was personally my favourite episode from the first series of the Bad Batch. It was very good. It adds elements to episode 4 with obviously the music there, and it was just nice to see fans' questions being answered, i.e., with Clone Commandos being introduced. In this case, Clone Commander Scorch and stuff like that. And it was a really good episode. Like I said, it was similar to episode 12, where they obviously rescued the Syndulla family, but this was even better because we discovered that Stormtroopers have TK numbers. They're enlisting normal people from different planets, and overall it was a good episode. And as I said, it turns out to be my favorite episode from the Bad Batch. Alan, your thoughts on it, and also, do you have a favorite episode as well?
When it comes to favorite episode, I can't think of one off the top of my head. But when it comes to this episode, yeah, I totally agree with you. It's a great episode. A good example of great display of stakes and threat. When it comes to the Empire, the clone troopers, the new stormtroopers, we see the first rough version. Well, I suppose the first rough version of the stormtrooper armor was the Phase 2 clone armors, really.
Yeah.
But now we see the next generation, the next iPhone, if you will.
Yeah.
In that in that sense, the first, well, the following version of the armor that resembles more and more to what we see in the original trilogy. Like you said, new armor, new designations, TK troopers.
And as I said to you as well, I really like the element of Ralph McCory arc as well that they used from it. And that's the good thing I really like about Star Wars. They with certain things they've done in the past, Solo, Rogue One, the Death Troopers, the Shore Troopers, these troopers, it's all elements from stuff which is really good that they used.
Yeah. I feel it was maybe a bit quick, but I don't think it was too quick. I think it was like, it was right there. I would have I personally, now that I think about it, I think I would have preferred to see the Imperials in their new uniforms in the next season. Because this is really the transition right here from the Republic, from the clones to the Stormtroopers in the Empire. But now we see that things are even more serious. That the Imperial Army is now expanding into human recruits rather than clone soldiers. And again, this episode showcases a great display of threat and stakes. Another extraction episode, but a more interesting and a more engaging extraction episode, as they are trying to save Gregor, who is another clone that defected from the army, another deserter, if you will. We haven't seen Gregor since, well, in chronological order, we haven't seen him since he basically sacrificed himself for the little droid squad in the Clone Wars, when he rediscovered himself when his memories finally resurfaced from the long from this long, if you will, long period of time where he wasn't really himself, where he forgot who he was.
You're a dishwasher, Gregor.
Yeah. Yeah, and we don't know how he survived that, but we just know that he did. Which, sometimes things like that, I suppose you can either keep debating it or just let it fly. And it follows pretty much the same formula, but again, now we get a man being left behind, unfortunately, because Hunter didn't make it. He got captured, which is great, because not every mission needs to go well. Not every mission is a success 100%.
And like I said,
sometimes someone gets wounded, someone needs to get killed, someone
and as you mentioned, with that as well, it leads up to the next episode, because obviously you was waiting. I always thought, when I watched the first season of The Bad Batch, I was waiting for Crosshair and Hunter to cross paths, and obviously with that episode, it's like, next episode, let's see what they're going to happen, because they're both different characters, but I can see that they possibly do care for each other in a way, but they're not showing it physically. It's sort of in the back of their mind, like, I do, maybe in a way, but he's joined the Empire now. He's a piece of shit. I don't trust him. Whereas obviously Crosshair's like, you didn't follow orders. Look what you could have become. It's just like one of those ones.
Yeah, and I really like this. I really like this battle, this conflict between the main squad and the rest of the Imperial, well, the former Republic of the new Imperial Army. It's more interesting the fact that we get two forces that basically were trained on the same battlefield, all the same, like, they both fought on the same side, but now they're on different sides, but they share the same set of skills, more or less, and they're fighting sort of familiar faces, in the sense that they are threatening because they are a part of them that they used to be in. If I'm making any sense, but
yeah, I understand. They train together, and now they're different. It's sort of like their paths are coming between us, despite knowing the same thing.
Yeah, so it's an even bigger threat than just stormtroopers, because it's people who, they shared the battlefield, and they know that they pretty much do the same stuff as they used to do. It's the same tactics, the stuff that they trained for, and how it's, but then again, it's uncharted and unfamiliar territory, because it's a base that they're not familiar with, and a force that they're not familiar with, just slightly familiar with, but because these new soldiers, they are trained by clones, and they're directly linked, But yeah, I like this. I like that we have like similar opposites, if you will, just like we have, Obi-Wan versus Darth Vader. They Darth Vader was trained by Obi-Wan,
Mm,
and the fight between them was legendary.
yeah. And as
And
we know from Darth Vader's perspective,
hmm
Obi-Wan knew he was in the wrong, but because
hmm
he was so blinded by rage and arrogance and to kill Obi-Wan, Anakin
hmm
eventually paid the ultimate sacrifice, i.e., not listen to his mentor, because it's just like, I can teach you everything I know, but if you do a maneuver I know well, you can get done by it. And obviously, Anakin was blinded by arrogance
hmm
and stuff like that, and he ended up paying the sacrifice by being burnt, having his left arm cut off, and both his legs gone. So
right. And
there's
now we
there's,
sort
another,
of
there's a
see
great
that.
example. Yeah,
Now we sort of seen that we sort of see that, but with the clones, and
yeah,
it's great.
yeah. It's
I
great,
like
and it's
that.
good, and it's good character
Yeah,
development in a way for
yeah.
basically a squad that are known for getting the job done. But now their leader has been captured. It's just like, how will they perform without their talisman, who's at the front of it all? But
Right.
only time will tell, which we will discuss now. Um,
Yes.
we'll move on. We're obviously coming to the last two episodes, part 1 and part 2. I won't read them all together. I'll read them as episode 15 and episode 16.
Read them together.
Read them together. Should I read them together? Do you think that'd be better, Alan? Or do you think
as
we
you
can?
want, man.
I'll read this first one. We'll discuss about the first.
Let's do it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we'll do it. Okay. Episode 15, Return to Camino. The ship needs to be repaired. Hunt returns to Camino. We see stuff happening there. See, the Bad Batch eventually discover that Hunter is on Camino. They land on a secret landing platform. They take the tube system and make their way into the city. Droids were then being taken out, and clones were being taken off world to other places. Tech, Echo, and Wrecker make their way to the training room, whilst obviously Omega is in the other part. Crosshair wants to give Hunter a chance. Crosshair kills the other troopers with a little, obviously with a blaster bolt, but his little trademark signature where he chucks something at the side, it fires, and obviously it ricochets off there and everything. But obviously, whilst that's going on, there's obviously a battle between droids, i.e., the training droids that they're firing with, and obviously Crosshair and the gang, they're fighting like old times, like nothing has happened. As I mentioned, Crosshair kills the other troopers with his blaster bolt. Clone Force 99's engaged the training ground droids, as I mentioned. The remaining troopers are removed from the planet, and the Imperial cruisers eventually make their way into position. And basically, what they're going to do is they're going to open up on the city. Crosshair lied about his chip to state that he had the chip removed, so it's just him acting differently despite the chip being removed. Crosshair eventually gets stunned, and the Imperial cruisers eventually open up onto the city, and it just ends with our heroes on the run despite heavy fire being fired upon from the Imperial cruisers. And the second part, which I'll read now, episode 16, because obviously it's basically one episode, but obviously split into two. Return to Camino Part 2. Obviously, Camino is lost. The city is in chaos. Crosshair is trapped by fallen debris. They manage to move the debris with the help from Omega and AZ, the little droid that we saw in season 6 of the Clone Wars. He was helping out, obviously, Fives, obviously discover the truth about the inhibitor chip and everything. There's a large sea monster that obviously starts attacking them. AC, the little droid, is obviously helping them out, and obviously he's helping them out as best he can despite his power being reduced. The Bad Batch appear to be trapped, but they need to find their way out. Omega eventually discovers these large medical chambers that can fit 2 people inside, and they eventually obviously managed to open up by obviously firing onto the glass and eventually floating to the surface. AZ, the little droid, is obviously controlling the pods. Obviously, his power is running low, and Omega eventually goes after him despite AZ losing power. And despite that all going on, Omega rescues AZ, and it's come to the point now where Omega is struggling. Crosshair manages to pick up his rifle, fire the rifle with like a large tactical bolt where it's like an extension hook that eventually locks onto AZ. It eventually pulls AZ and Omega out of the water. The Bad Batch are eventually safe. Crosshair chucks his rifle over to Wrecker like nothing has happened. As I mentioned, Camino is destroyed. The city is completely gone despite the Imperial cruisers firing so much damage onto the city. And that's pretty much it, really. Crosshair eventually stays behind whilst the guys of the Clone Force 99 eventually fly off into the distance. And that's pretty much it. And the last bit you see, I think it's Nama Say. She eventually goes to that Imperial base where they rescued clone Captain Gregor. And they mention about the cloning program, and I don't know if you noticed, Alan, the scientist was obviously very similar to the scientist in the first season of the Mandalorian, I think, on the planet Devron. And that is where the Bad Batch ends, really, with the cloning process being talked out on that planet.
Yeah.
So that's pretty much it for the first season of the Bad Batch. Final thoughts, Alan, on them? Well, last two episodes, or one last, because so what did you make of Camino being destroyed, clones being shipped off world, and basically them trying to hide as much as they can from Clone Force 99?
This is pretty much what it was all leading up to. The destruction of the cloning facility in Camino. It was done very differently than it was in past versions of the canon. In Legends, it's done differently, but this time around, I feel it was done again in a way that makes sense for the show and for the canon. And when it comes to the story in these two episodes,
There's just so much going on, wasn't there? City being destroyed, the relationship with Crosshair, rescuing, doing this.
Yeah, a lot of drama going
on.
on. And I liked the action scene of them trying to escape the simulation arena with the droids.
Mm-hmm.
There was an entire standoff with everybody.
I loved it when Crosshair just killed them clone troopers. I think it's like Record Tech was like, it's like he had this trademark thing from the season 7. It's just like, ding.
Cool. And then then when they're trying to escape the falling facility from the inside, they're trying to escape. It's you get the sense of, again, you get the sense of the stakes here. They're drowning. They're drowning inside, and they need to find a way out quickly, or they'll just drown to death. And either stay stuck in there, or eventually the flood, the ocean will just flood in, and they'll be drowning inside. They'll be trapped under debris, or it's not a very pleasant way.
Not very pleasant at all. Yeah.
Honestly, to me, if they were to die in that episode, I wouldn't mind. But I'm glad they didn't. I'm glad that we're getting a second season. And but again, the stakes here were displayed very well. Um, and especially now that Crosshair is involved and trapped with them, a former ally, now now foe, now being trapped in the same situation as them, and so they need to sort of work together even despite their differences. Um, yeah, it was. I think it was really well executed. Uh, Solid finale overall.
Yeah, same here. I can't complain as well. Like I said, there's
And yeah,
so much
I
going on.
actually do look forward to season 2 and see what it has in store for us.
Yep, same here. I mean, roll on season 2, as you mentioned there. Like I said, there's so much action going on. The stakes are high, things happening and everything. Obviously, clone forces and obviously, in this case, Imperial forces now being evacuated from the city and just trying to dispose of evidence as quick as they can. And whether there be any more elements to Camino later on. But like I said, overall, it's a good season finale. Plenty of stuff going on as well. And it just shows you how the Empire are willing to do things now. Like no trace, no nothing really. They want to get things done by the book or not by the book. And yeah, a fantastic couple of episodes to finish off the series. And as you said, we'll wait and see what season 2 has to offer, whether it be any other familiar characters appearing or other elements to, as I mentioned, the Battlefront 2 campaign years ago where there was a clone uprising on Camino, or has there been a secret clone regiments created to fight the Empire? Who knows? But overall, the first season of the Bad Batch, very good, and Dave Filoni and his team yet again doing well. And like I say, I'm a fan of it, and we look forward to season 2. So
we have a few comments in the chat from our buddy Trooper Geo.
Oh, that's good.
What's he been saying? He says Echo got little character development. That's his first comment.
Yeah,
what do you have to say about that?
I can understand it. I mean,
I can agree with that.
We saw glimpses of Echo, but not as much as we thought we see. Obviously, we got his development again, in season 7.
Yeah, that's an opportunity for season 2 to
season 2.
Yeah. Then he says, also, I'm not a fan of how quickly the Empire is transitioning from using the Republic's vehicles and clone troopers to using the things they used in the original trilogy. It feels too rushed to me. Yeah, I mean, I feel you. I see.
Yeah, I understand that point. Yeah,
we do see mostly Republic's vehicles and whatnot. In the in the earlier episodes, we see the clone troopers. They're acting as the.
Nope. Something's happened to Alan there. I hope he's all right. Alan, can you hear me? Oh, we appear to have lost Alan. Sorry about that. That's all right. That's all right. Please continue. Sorry, you've returned.
Yeah,
about the vehicles.
Yeah, in the early episodes, we see we see the clones. They are acting as what we would know later to be the Imperial Stormtroopers, and throughout the episodes, we see a lot of familiar vehicles such as the ATT and the Republic gunship, and the attack shuttles, I believe they're called, the one that resemble a bit the Imperial shuttles, and obviously the Republic cruisers that later will will transition into the Imperial Star Destroyers. But yeah, obviously in later episodes, we see the new armors being integrated. So yeah, I do agree with you with the fact that it feels a bit rushed, and I myself would have also preferred if they were to introduce the new the new phase of the stormtroopers in season 2,
Yeah,
after after a bit of a time jump, if you will.
yeah.
Um,
But you can understand both points. Yeah,
yeah,
I
yeah.
totally agree as
What do
well.
you
Yeah.
what do you think, Jack?
Yeah, I can argue as well. There's stuff that's been done
Hmm.
too quickly. But then again, you look at most things in, like, say, stuff that's happened in real life. There's, like, say, certain weapons and certain battles where they kept using them for years gone by, and then as a certain time reached, they've replaced it. So it is sort of, can be quick and can be slow. Like I said, I can understand the point and everything. But yeah, I totally agree. Totally
Yeah.
agree with your point.
And then his last comment, he says, it kind of feels like Dave, as in Dave Filoni, doesn't want to portray the clones as the bad guys, even though that would make sense considering clones were the main infantry force for the Empire until around 16 after Battle of Yavin.
Mm. Well, talking of clones, if you go on any so-called Star Wars pages where they talk about what happened, there were 501st clone troopers that served on the Death Star.
Yeah, on the
So
Darth Vader, yeah.
even though there was elements of the Empire solely being based on humans, certain types of aliens, there were still
Oh,
clone
before
troopers
the
that
Battle of
served.
Yavin, yeah.
Oh, before the Battle of Yavin, yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, even
Correct,
back
absolutely.
then, there was 501st clone troopers in Darth Vader's regiments that were still clone troopers
Mhm.
who done that and everything.
Yeah.
So yeah, you can argue. I think if I can remember, there was still clone troopers. I think mainly used up until before the Battle of Hoth. I can't
Hmm.
recall if I'm correct, but there were still clones used. What's the timeline? Is it 15 years? It is A New Hope after it's Revenge of the Sith. I think it's 15 years. So
I think
yeah,
it no. A
is it
New Hope
15?
takes place. A New Hope takes place 19 years after.
19. Yeah. So yeah, you can argue.
19 to
Yeah.
20 years after Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like I said, there were clones still used, i.e., Invader's Iron Fist, as you like, the
Yeah.
501st. But yeah, like I said, I can understand all the points you're making, but
Yeah.
we know
Solid
that
points. Yeah.
clones were good. Some of them are bad, but like I said, we mentioned clone Captain Hauser. Not all clones were like bad. They may have given the order, but they may have not even killed anyone. They may have gone, "Oh, Order 66, right? We'll do this now." Where that said, some of them have got a conscience to go, hang on, inhibitor chip or not, this is right, this is wrong. But I understand your point there, Gio, and thanks for
Hmm.
commenting. What
Yeah.
do you make, Alan? Same as well? Similar?
Yeah. Yeah. He also has one more comment. He says some clones are bad, i.e., Slick.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
Slick was a traitor, wasn't he? All he cared about was money. He
Yeah.
didn't care about his brothers. He
Yeah.
was just
Yeah.
willing to frame his brothers for a crime that they didn't commit, and he was an arse, wasn't he? Slick, he was an arse.
Yeah. Oh
He
yeah.
only cared about himself.
Well, he had a twisted sense of this war is wrong, and
Mm. My brothers shouldn't
we're
be doing
the
this.
my
Yeah.
like us clones were being exploited and whatnot,
Mm.
and but yeah, he did it. He executed his stuff, and
Mm.
yeah, he did betray his brothers at the end of the day, and
Mm.
he was, yeah, he was an asshole about it. So
Hmm.
yeah.
Good
Um.
episode. Very good episode. The
Oh
Hidden
yeah.
Enemy. Very
Yeah.
good episode. Kind of like an old school thriller, but very good.
Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah. But yeah, uh yeah, I feel, yeah, you're right about there being a bit of a rush between the for the transitions of armor and an infantry force um in the Empire. He also says people say Fox is bad for killing fives, but I think that was justified. People always forget about Slick. Like, in my opinion, Slick did did for worse things than my boy Fox.
Well, you look at Slip. He blew up the gunships,
Oh yeah,
the weapons depot, and the only thing that was kept left was the heavy cannons.
he gave away their positions
And he gave away
in
their positions as
yeah
well. Yeah, when they did that opening
their bat
episode
yeah
where they
their
were
battle
holding it in towers
positions.
and they just got ambushed, and obviously they eventually
Yeah,
escaped through the roof by
yeah,
a
they were
gunship. But
supposed
yeah,
to ambush, but they were the ones being ambushed. Yeah.
yeah, but yeah, he did worse. Fox only
Oh yeah.
reacted because Fives was obviously pointing Rex's pistol.
Mm-hmm.
He wasn't all there, Fives, and
Yeah.
everything, and he ended up paying the ultimate sacrifice. But
Yeah.
if Fives was still alive, then whether the inhibitor chip thing would be a thing,
We
but
would be in a very different
we'd be in
place
a
with the
different
story.
position.
Yeah.
But like with Emperor Palpatine,
Mm-hmm.
he's the puppeteer. He's got his strings. He does it. He's a brilliant villain, isn't he, Palpatine? Orchestrating both sides of the war in
Yeah.
the prequel, the original trilogy, and obviously playing his part in the Rise of Skywalker as well. But as Palpatine for you, it's just he's one of those ones. He's a puppeteer controlling all the strings. He's
Yeah.
also
Gio also
mentioned as
says,
well,
yeah.
Slick was responsible for the deaths of all the clones in the yeah,
Yeah.
what we
Yeah.
discussed. Yeah, it was him. He was the one
Mm-hmm.
who got paid off by Ventress
Mm-hmm.
to portray him. So that's much more worse. Like I said,
Yeah.
Fox. If I remember, Fox got killed by Vader
Was he?
for I
Was
can't
it in the
remember.
comics or
I
something?
think it was in a comment. I think it was. Oh God! If I can remember, it was the one where, do you know, where Darth Vader faced 8 Jedi and he ended up killing 5 of them,
Yeah.
and he lost his arm. And I
Yeah.
think the fire
I
first.
didn't read it, but I watched some videos about it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think I watched it on the Lore Master, who's a good Star
Okay.
Wars YouTuber, or I don't know if the Stupendous Wave or Star Wars Theory done a version, but I think it was
Probably. Yeah.
about they were going to do an ambush, and I think I don't know if it was that one or there was another thing where loads of clones got killed or something happened, and Vader said, "Oh, I've had enough of you." I think he force choked him. I think I could be wrong, but it was one of those things. But if I can remember
Yeah.
correctly, Vader did kill Fox.
Okay. Interesting fact. Yeah.
But as you
I
meant,
didn't know that.
yeah.
But
But that's what I think I can remember. I could be completely wrong saying it, but I remember him getting killed by Vader, like reading from a comment.
yeah, but this is a this is a topic that comes back every now and then with Gio about Fox and
Is that his
Fives.
boy? Is that his boy?
Yeah, he's trying to justify Fox and people like he says that a lot of people just really really try to justify Fives and oh shit, you know,
Well,
Five
you
he
know,
killed our boy Fives and
you
whatnot.
mentioned Fox. Can you remember the one in season 3? I want to say of Clone Wars when he let them droids go past and they blew up the entire Coruscant electrical grid. Can you remember?
Yes. Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
So
Yeah,
yeah,
those.
Fox, you let the droids through, mate.
Yeah.
Stupid droids.
Yeah. Remember that?
Remember
Gio?
that? Yeah, we
Who's
remember that.
got a lot of explaining to do, George Lucas?
Yeah, got a lot explaining, George. Hey?
Right. Dave Filoni, sorry. Yeah.
Yeah. Commander Fox, a Star Wars story.
Yeah. Fox was killed for not telling his troopers that Vader was on their side.
However, Fox attempted to inform his men that Vader was a friendly, but his comms were being jammed.
Coruscant
Guard
Guard
were the
was
best
the best
clones,
clones.
Justine. I have to.
Yeah,
I
he's
have
a big fan of shock troopers.
Shock troopers are sick, but
Yeah.
I 501st. 501st are mine.
Mm-hmm.
What about yours, Alan? Do you have a favorite regiment?
I honestly, it's a tough one for me. Because at the end of the day,
love the 501st.
At the end of the day, it's really it's partially about the colors, but also the fact that we did get to see more development from the 501st than the other regiments. But I like pretty much all of them. You know, I like the 501st. I like the 212th.
Yeah,
I like the the Kashyyyk troopers.
Yeah, 41st Elite Corps, the 327th Commander Bly's Regiment,
Yeah,
the
I
ones in
really like the
yellow,
shock troopers as well. You know.
shock troopers. Yeah, yeah. I could talk ages. I'm just looking at the clones up there. It's just
Oh yeah,
so many good
you have
regiments.
them, man.
I know, Galactic Marines. Let me have a look. See,
I have very
he's got
few
me on a
clones,
ramp.
but yeah,
He's got me on a ramp. Oh God. Sick. Yeah, I was just looking at some of them on there. As I said, the Galactic Marines, the 501st, the 212th, the Kashyyyk troopers.
It's just Star Wars.
Star Wars, man.
Yeah.
I'm gonna nerd out. Yeah, could
Yeah.
talk for hours about clone regiments, but yeah, for me, 501st, without a doubt. Without a doubt.
We just talked 3 hours about a squad of 5 clones.
Yeah, look at that, eh?
Yeah.
Look at that. I think, well, I mean, like I said, we've spoken for over 3 hours. If there's any more comments, please be sure to let us know once the video is on YouTube. At the minute, I don't think there'll be any more comments. So I think, do you fancy wrapping it up, Alan, from there? Because, like I said, we've spoken for over
I think we've
3
covered
hours,
everything,
and
man.
I think we covered everything, mate. So, as always, I'd like to thank you for joining me as usual as a guest on the channel. Thanks to everyone for watching. Comments
Thank you for having me.
have been good as usual, and that's the end of the Star Wars Conversations episode. Before I forget, episode 19, I should say. Sorry. So, hopefully, when the Bad Batch season 2 is released, do a live stream on there. Same with any other Star Wars content as well. I was thinking probably the next live stream I will do will probably be on the Book of Boba Fett. So once that's all out and running, we'll do a stream there. So before we go, Alan, where can we find you?
So first of all, thank you for having me on your live stream again, Jack. It was fun to discuss this show. And you can you guys can find me on my YouTube channel, Oak99. It's pretty dead right now. I'm trying to get it back alive, but I'm also taking a bit of a break after that last project that I did that took me over 3 years on and off. So I feel like I do need a bit of a break from YouTube, but some ideas are being formed in here. I'm trying to think of ways to revive the channel a bit. But you can find me there. You can find me on Instagram, also Oak99. I also have other pages, but that's a whole other thing. But when it comes to my content making channels and social media, Oak99 is where it's at, on YouTube, on Instagram, on Twitter, on Facebook, if that's what you fancy. But again, I'm not very active there. I'm not really active anywhere at the moment. Sorry, but if you want to see stuff that I've made in the past, you're more than welcome to check out my channel. And tell us in the comment what you thought of the Bad Batch. What's your favorite clone regiment? Who's your favorite clone from the Bad Batch? Who's your favorite character? What was your favorite episode? And yeah, thank you for tuning in. Thank you, Jack, again.
It's all right, mate. A pleasure. Always welcome, mate. Always welcome on the channel. Yeah. So yeah, thanks, mate. Cheers. You can find me obviously on YouTube as Jedi Master 98. You can follow me on Facebook, Jedi Master 98. You can also click on my Instagram link as well. I've got plenty more things to look forward to on the channel. I'm going to go back and sort out a few things as well. Hopefully got some vintage collection figures on pre-order. So hopefully when they arrive, we'll get more vintage collection figures reviewed, and I may even do a collection update before the end of the year passes as well. So you could see some more stuff. I need to reorganize stuff again because yet again I am running out of space on the shelves. It's all got to be crammed in, but
Oh yeah.
we'll make space. It'll be all right. So yeah,
You can send me some of the figures. I have plenty of space on my shelf.
yeah, I'll give you some. We'll do a deal. We'll do a deal. So yeah, thanks again for watching, everyone.
Right.
Do appreciate the support and everything. Like I said, the next live stream will most likely be the Book of Boba Fett, and then any other Star Wars stuff that comes out as well. So yet again, thanks to Adam for watching and obviously joining me. Thanks to everyone for commenting, and we will see you on the next one. So thank you very much for watching, everyone. Look after yourself, and as always, may the force be with you.
May the force be with you.